and freezing. And as for the fight itself, well, it was considered an entertaining disaster. I mean, it wasn't prime Tyson. He was 58. And after the fight, Paul, who was 27 at the time, said he'd actually gone easy on Tyson towards the end. Now, Mayweather-McGregor in 2017 was a better watch, despite Mayweather going rope-a-dope early on, but it was way too expensive. Pay-per-view was 75 quid, and in the stadium, the cheapest ticket was over 370. Now, this next one you could have watched for free, only because the pay-per-view had streaming issues, so they had to open it out. I'm talking about Tiger versus Phil in 2018, which was nicknamed The Match. Massive names and massive rivals going head-to-head. On paper, it worked. In reality, it didn't. The two players were mic'd up, so we all thought we'll get fascinating insight. We'll be able to hear them insult each other for 18 holes. But what we actually got was more heavy breathing and sniffles. And for two GOATs, the golf itself was bang average. And speaking of GOATs, let's end with Messi and Ronaldo. In 2023, an exhibition between PSG and the Riyadh All-Star 11 saw them share a pitch for possibly the final time. To be fair, it was a goal fest, which PSG won 5-4, and Messi and Ronaldo both scored. But it was obvious they were past their prime. El Clasico, this was not. And with it being in Saudi, there were more sports washing claims. So there you have it. Exhibitions that have let us down. And I didn't even have time to mention the Community Shield.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. So Tottenham draw with Leeds, leaving survival finally balanced. Dead but not buried, have Spurs just thrown West Ham a bone. Meanwhile, who will join Hull in the playoff final? Southampton or Middlesbrough? Could we really have a situation where even in defeat, Borough are still in play? News coming up on that in just a few moments. Also today, will Liverpool be picked to the post by Chelsea for Alonso? What do Manchester United do with Rashford? Why are young people buying performance-enhancing drugs? And what's more ridiculous, away fans buying up tickets in the home end or being attacked for doing it? Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
So I think this is a day, is it not, that you sprint from here and head to the top boxing studio.
I do.
At 1 o'clock. Simon, I think, who have you got? Don Charles today?
We've got Don in, yeah, absolutely.
From Daniel Dubois' corner. Yeah. Hugely influential figure. Before that, Simon, the fallout continues from Daniel Dubois' demolition, ultimately, of Fabio Wardley in the 11th round in Manchester on Saturday night. We're going to be hearing later from Wardley's camp. And I've just shared with you last night, I heard from Fabio.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to do any media at the moment, which is highly understandable.
I'm not surprised, yeah. I'm not surprised.
Taking time out with the family. But just to say that he, quote, vehemently disagrees with all notions that the fight should have been stopped sooner. He had his wits about him.
Yeah.
He was switched on and he was firing back and finding openings.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a group of people around him: Ben Davison, Rob Hodgins, and another guy called Lee Wiley, and he'll probably be insulating them. It's not about what Fabio thinks, with due respect to the fact that he's coherent, he's a fighter, he will fight. And given the nature of Fabio Wardley's personality and resolution, it's about what the trainer knows is going to be done to him, what's left of Fabio. Because a beating like that, despite the aesthetics of it, and Fabio will tell you it's a bit of blood and circumstances surrounding his nose, and he's had a bit of a beating, but he's fine. And that's the game I'm in. But fighters have so much taken out of them in fights like that. Daniel will have had a lot taken out of him, and he won. Fabio lost and took a shellacking from about round 6 onwards.
Right.
And so that will leave Fabio having something less in his tank for future reference.
Sure.
And that's where trainers have got to step in and perhaps go for another day.
Right.
For another day.
Okay.
And of course, Fabio being the person that he is, I fully expected. One of the things I said when the media were railing off on Ben Davison and whoever else was that let's hear from Fabio on what he thinks. And you've obviously got a text message from him explaining to you what he thinks. And I'm not surprised that's what he says, because first of all, he's a fiercely loyal guy, and that's the right way to be. He respects his team.
Yeah.
His team respect him.
Do you think the criticism made towards his corner men was unfair, Simon? That they should have pulled him out earlier?
I think they should have taken him out.
Right.
I think there's lots of reasons why perhaps they didn't. Obviously, the referee was looking for help. Referee going to the corner to the doctors and looking for the doctors to help him to some extent. Obviously, Howard Foster's got form in the past by taking George Groves out of the fight early against Carl Froch. So the polar opposite is in this case.
Yeah.
I think most people, even Frank Warren said it, even Ben Davison has said it now, there is a significant case to answer that we should have taken him out.
Okay.
And the reasons why you should take him out is not because he was just getting a beating in that fight, it's because of what it does to him in the future.
Yeah.
Jim.
They'll be happy in your household this morning, Simon, because Hull have made it. Hull put out Millwall last night in the playoff championship playoff semi-final stage. So they march on to Wembley.
Yeah.
The big question is who's going to meet them there. Will it be Southampton? Will it be Middlesbrough? They play tonight. It's live and exclusive on talkSPORT. The Championship playoff semi-final second leg. The tie is finally balanced at 0-0 from the first leg. But here's the thing. Middlesbrough believe their season will not end tonight, even if they lose their Championship playoff semi against Southampton. Southampton were charged with a breach of VFL regulations on Friday night after alleged spying on Borough training before the first leg. Middlesbrough are pushing, we hear, for the harshest of sporting sanctions against their opponents, which includes them being potentially kicked out of the playoffs altogether. So can we really have a situation tonight that even if Middlesbrough end up losing at St Mary's, they're still in the playoffs? Is spying worthy of a sporting sanction? Now, I know, Simon, I think you've been getting information from the Middlesbrough end. Southampton, as we came on air, have made a statement. We want to provide a brief update regarding the incident. The club is fully cooperating with the EFL and the Disciplinary Commission, whilst also undertaking an internal review to ensure that all facts and context are properly understood. Given the intensity of the fixture schedule and the short turnaround between matches, we have requested time to complete that process thoroughly and responsibly. And they add there, Simon, we understand the discussion and speculation that has followed over recent days. We also believe it's important that the full context is established before conclusions are drawn. Sure. What's your reading of it? Because people are drawing their own conclusions.
I think there's very little doubt that Southampton are culpable for this. I think there's very little doubt in Middlesbrough's mind. I think there's very little doubt in the EFL's mind. I think there's very little doubt in Southampton's mind. I think if I read the situation rightly, I think they've already coughed to it to Middlesbrough, and I think they've already coughed to it to the EFL. It's about whether it becomes, the argument then will become about what the ramifications of it are. If I read Steve Gibson and know him as well as I do, his attitude will be probably initially a little bit of mirth, and then when his coach stepped up and started to say, hang on, Chairman, they know our team shape, they know who's injured, they'll know a lot more about that. I would imagine that Steve would have operated in a certain way and asked Southampton when they stepped into his boardroom, probably, if I'm reading him right and knowing him as I do, to atone for it. And that's probably what they did. And maybe then people putting out statements afterwards saying that it was a lone wolf may not be quite as appealing to Steve Gibson as it probably, or they may or may not have said to him in a different situation.
Right.
I would view this as Middlesbrough, knowing Steve as I know him, they won't necessarily want to make a big song and dance about this because they will want to deal with it, but they won't make a song and dance because they won't want to be seen as the team that potentially disrupts the playoffs or cries wolf or cries and bitches and whines about something. They want to do it a different way. So perhaps the whole situation will blow over if Middlesbrough win this playoff semi-final.
Yeah.
If they don't win this playoff semi-final, I think a lot will depend upon how Southampton behave and how they operate in terms of disclosure and what they do and don't say. I would imagine, I don't imagine that the Southampton hierarchy know much about this. I would suggest that maybe their manager does, but I'm in my mind's eye, I'm looking at it thinking, what would I do? And what would, because there is a difference between myself and Steve Gibson. I look at it and go, if I'm Southampton and I've got the world's media on my back, and I've got a situation where I know I'm potentially culpable, what I'm going to say, I'm going to put a holding statement out to get through and maybe deal with my manager a little bit later. I think Gibson, if he was in situ, in terms of it's his manager, I think he would have fired his manager. I think that's how strong I think.
You think he would have fired his manager?
I think he feels that strongly. I know him. I've seen him for years operate in a certain way.
Whilst they're in the playoffs.
I think Steve would have taken a view that that's not the way the game is played. That's not the ethics of the game.
Would you?
I'm not sure I would have taken that position, but I think that's probably what he would do. I think if it was Middlesbrough, but they're not. It's not Middlesbrough that are guilty of anything. Middlesbrough are the victims of it. And the interesting thing is going to be how this plays out and what the scenarios. I can't imagine the EFL are going to want to pull Southampton out of the playoffs and change the whole direction and integrity of one of the biggest games in English football, one of the most broadcast games with the biggest value attached to it. And then you move into territory of what is the consequence? Is there systemic abuse? Because there's a significant allegation, which I think is going to be stacked up, that this is not an isolated instance. Well, if it's not an isolated instance, then what you've got is systemic behaviour. Then you've got a situation where the EFL are going to do what? And what they're going to do. I mean, you've got a situation years and years ago when West Ham were sued by Sheffield United for fielding Tevez and Mascherano as third-party players, and they had to pay out 20-30 million quid.
Right.
Is that the remedy?
Well, I mean, it's a serious business. The charge is now in the hands of an independent disciplinary commission that will consist of a chairperson who will either be a qualified solicitor or barrister. Now, there is a funny side to this, and people are amused by it, and I would think tonight, Simon, we'll see all sorts of Spygate references amongst the crowd that gathers at St Mary's when Southampton take on Middlesbrough. But the fact of the matter is, Simon, if Southampton progress tonight and get to the Championship playoff final, after this investigation is conducted and the EFL feel that, wrongdoing has taken place, is the EFL, and I know Trevor, and of course I know Rick, as you do, are they ballsy enough to pull Southampton out?
Well, I mean, look, you've seen them recently change the direction of travel. When I was in the mix for Sheffield Wednesday, and I said to Trevor, and not so much Rick, but Trevor, you cannot sanction Sheffield Wednesday 15 points for the 25p in a pound. Pack it in, it's nonsense, it's crap, it's guidance. And there was a resolution about, well, you know, this is the rule. I said, it's not a rule, Trevor. It's a guidance, Trev. Pack it in. It's a guidance. You can change it. Well, the precedent is Derby. We'll have some balls about it because it's the wrong sort of guidance. Well, they have. Now, how that's been manipulated, I think the independent regulators have come in and gone, right, pack it in, you lot. But this is not happening on our watch.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that this is a massive, massive call. So I don't know how they're going to manage their way through this. If you want two capable individuals to deal with it, you can't get better than Trevor Birch and Rick Parry.
Yeah.
But they are holding together a potential catastrophe.
Is a worst case scenario for Southampton not just that they've been found out, if indeed it's taken place, in this instance involving Middlesbrough? Is the worst case scenario for them if it's found out that they are repeat offenders and have been for some time? Yeah. Now, that's got to change the landscape, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course it has, but the point is...
Therein, Dragon Solak might do what Gibson might have done and get rid of Eka.
But that requires, he may well do, that requires a significant investigation, which is going to require a passage of time. And the window of time to do this is what? Until the end of May. So you look at it and go, how do you complete that evidence? How do you complete that circumstance? How do you deal with that in the timelines that you've got? Because it's not just a case of, okay, we've got this. Southampton may well dispute it. They may well dispute any evidence. They may well want to contest it. They may want their day in court, their arbitration hearing to be heard properly. All of a sudden, you've got this absolute car crash of a situation. And I don't think the rules provide for it. If you look at the rules provide for repeat offences result in points. Well, this is not points. This isn't points. This is removal from a promotions perspective. Now, points earlier in the season may have the same effect, But we're at the tipping point. You're playing in the playoff semi-finals. You're one game away from the Premier League. You're not midway through a season where 3 points are being deducted and you get an opportunity to redress the balance. And I don't think the rules provide for a situation like this. So all of a sudden, it's a degree of interpretation. What do? Do you take away the 3 points? Do you take away 3 points from Southampton, or 6 points from Southampton, and substitute Southampton with Wrexham and play the semi-finals? No, you can't do that.
What a mess.
What do you do?
Yeah.
You're going to be making up some sort of guidance on the hoof, which then means to some extent that Southampton are going to go, you haven't got the right to do that. So they're going to contest that. So it would feel to me that it'll be a wing and a prayer. There'll be a few Hail Marys in the EFL boardroom like this going, never have they wanted to be so biased towards one team in a playoff semi-final, I suspect, with no reason for being so. If that then drops, which is a distinct possibility, because let's get it right, Southampton on the field are a juggernaut right now. They're the form team. They've done the number on Middlesbrough up at the Riverside. Yeah. They're 0-0. They're in the box seat. They can't get beat at this moment in time because Southampton are the best team in the league. There's a distinct possibility, with all due respect to Steve Gibson, who I like very much, I think is the best chairman around, and I hope that he does get promoted just to stick it up Rob Edwards' nose. But notwithstanding that, all of that leaves a conundrum in the EFL's mind. So I wouldn't want to be Rick Parry, either side of it. Well,
it's going to be some atmosphere tonight at St Mary's, because Middlesbrough fans will travel in numbers. Of course they will, for this semi-final second leg. It's live on talkSPORT. Southampton finished their statement. Our focus now turns fully to this evening's game. This is the time for all of us to get behind the team and create another special atmosphere at St Mary's. It's going to be some atmosphere. There is no doubt about that. Here we go. Coming up next, have Spurs somewhat thrown West Ham a lifeline. We're going to get to that. A lot to get through this morning. Live this Tuesday morning on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Christ on a bike. If you don't win it from now, in terms of beating Burnley and beating Crystal Palace, they've got nothing to play for either side, then you don't deserve to be champions, do you?
And so what would you be doing then on that Monday afterwards? Would you be coming in on that bank holiday so you can give it to me? Would you not bother turning up if Arsenal win it?
It's not about giving it to you. It's about holding things to account. No one's really interested in your personal objective.
So we're so close to this. So at the end of the day...
The question is, do you now think that Arsenal should now win the league?
They're in as good a position.
So if they don't win the league now, that would be relatively inexcusable.
Well, why is he? When we get
and if City win this position,
just a minute,
I'd be saying the same thing.
Why were you
it was a City bias?
Why were you not saying that at the beginning of last week? When Man City were in that position, when Man City get a point,
because I'm delighted.
Only a point.
I'm delighted that Man City, because I'm delighted that Man City aren't going to win the league. Who wants a monopoly?
Who wants it? That?
Well, why wouldn't I do? I'm not frightened of saying things. You seem to be unwilling to say certain things. You don't want to name pundits.
No, because I've been in this journey before.
Yeah, because
they're very flippant. It's very flippant
to what people are going to say.
Well, it's very flippant to dismiss.
Put your proverbial on the block and say it, and people criticise you or they won't criticise you.
I think quietly behind the scenes.
Have they won it, Martin?
No, they haven't won it, Jim. They've got 2 games to play. Look at Man City, what we're dealing with, and it creating an energy. Will Pep be there? Won't he be there? Bernardo Silva hanging up his boots to go somewhere else. There's a drive and an energy to finish, to get to the finishing line. You're up against Pep here. Let's not discount that.
You're not
you have to earn this.
You're not up against Pep. You're up against Burnley and Crystal Palace.
That's it.
And if you don't beat Burnley and Crystal Palace,
no, it's like a tug of war.
No, you're on
that rope, and that rope's starting to come Arsenal's way.
Right.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
It is a fixture everybody is talking about, but for a variety of reasons. Southampton take on Middlesbrough tonight. It is the Championship playoff second leg of the semi-final stage. It's poised at 0-0. But this Spygate situation is really developing. Middlesbrough believe their season will not end tonight, even if they lose their Championship playoff semi-final against Southampton. They're pushing for the harshest sporting sanctions, we understand, against their opponents. Southampton charged with a breach of EFL regulations on Friday night after alleged spying on Middlesbrough's training before the first leg. Now, in the last few moments, as we came on air, we had a statement from Southampton. And it's virtually what we would call in this business a holding statement, that the club's fully cooperating with the EFL and the Disciplinary Commission, whilst also undertaking an internal review to ensure that all facts and context are properly understood. And at the end of it, it's virtually, but it's life as we know it, because we're going in against Middlesbrough tonight on the football side of things, and we've a job to do, and we'll see if we can progress to Wembley to the final. But what will be interesting, Simon, is that now that Southampton have gone public with a statement, it's going to be interesting to see how Middlesbrough react.
Well, I think that Middlesbrough reaction to that will be quite extreme. I think they'll see that as a lack of integrity. I think they know that Southampton are culpable. I think they know it factually. I think they will have an implicit understanding, and so will the EFL. And so a holding statement for the media will not go down well with Middlesbrough. And I would imagine, knowing Steve, that there will be a very, very robust position, and sporting sanctions and things like that will start to come on the table, and Middlesbrough will start to demand that as part of the equation. So we now have a situation that I think will escalate beyond the situation, which is already not insignificant. But reading that statement from Southampton, if indeed what we're led to believe, and there's no reason to disbelieve the circumstances, that this is exactly what's happened. How systemic it is, I think nobody really knows. But I think this instance is bang on the money. And if that's the case, I would imagine, knowing boardrooms as I've been in boardrooms, that they've had this conversation on Saturday between the various boardrooms, Middlesbrough and Southampton. They've had this conversation. That's what I would imagine to be the case. And so Southampton now coming out and saying, "Oh, nothing really, we're going to have a look at it, but, we will want everyone to reserve their position, and we're going to investigate all the peculiarities of it, and nothing really for us to say at this moment in time," is probably going to enrage Steve Gibson. So I would be very surprised if we don't see Middlesbrough come out in the most robust fashion, suggesting that sporting sanctions is what they'll be looking for next, because they'll look at Southampton and go, "You've got no integrity."
Would you be doing this if you were Steve Gibson? Would you be going for Southampton's throat at this stage?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, this is a man that dragged Ian Dowie into court over trying to leave me in a certain way. So you know my position on things. I fight battles. I'm a tilter at windmills. So I suspect this isn't a windmill to tilter. I suspect this is some very fertile ground, and there's going to be some trouble ahead here. And how the two clubs work it out between themselves will, I would imagine, be a disconnect now. I would imagine that Southampton are guilty in my mind. In my mind's eye, I think they're guilty of a person either being directly instructed by someone in the Southampton organisation, or someone that is either operated in a way that's benefited Southampton one way or another. I don't think that probably the chairman or the chief executive are involved, but I certainly think the football operation is. That's my view. That's my view without necessarily being sat there and having long conversations with people about it. That then means that there has to be some degree of relationship between the two clubs to either find a solution or you're going to have a nuclear explosion. And I think you're going to have I think based upon Southampton's statement, I think you're probably going to have a nuclear explosion from Middlesbrough.
Well, it certainly sounds like it. But if it gets to the sporting sanctions stage, Simon, Southampton will appeal. And it will be kicked into the long grass. There's a World Cup. The close season gets shorter and shorter. Southampton go up.
But Middlesbrough can't legislate for that. They're the victims in this. It's not Middlesbrough's problem to legislate for the scheduling issues. It is someone else's problem now to find a satisfactory resolution in the event that everything that's being alleged about Southampton from this instance through to a systemic, if it gets worse, if it's an isolated instance, Middlesbrough are still the victims of an instance and they'll still have a very significant claim. If it's an instance that's been repeated by a systemic behavioural pattern, well, where does it stop? Because it doesn't just become Middlesbrough, does it? It becomes other teams.
Yeah. So even if Middlesbrough win the tie tonight, it's not over.
Well, again, there'll be less consequence, won't there? Because Middlesbrough won't be the victims of. It'll almost be there's no harm here. Yeah. There's a harm because it breaches the code and ethics of the games and the morality of the game. And I suspect Middlesbrough still might want to give them a smack because they'll potentially look at Southampton's responses as lacking integrity. But there's less of a consequence. If Middlesbrough go out this evening, then they are potentially £200 million worse off. And this is a man that's owned this football club for 30-odd years, that stayed in the toughest of times and the best of times. I don't think he takes prisoners when he feels that they've been slighted. He will support his football club. But he's also a decent man. He'll be honest and fair and upfront. I've known him for a while, know how he operates. Yeah. So my take of all this is that's my overall helicopter take. Now, it may be wrong, but I would suspect, looking at those statements of Southampton, they might find themselves on a tail end of some backlash from Middlesbrough and what they may or may not be demanding the EFL to do.
Why, when we know this took place before, and it did, involving Derby and Leeds, and Bielsa's taken it, as you explained yesterday, really? Yeah, we've been doing that for a while, actually. Why were there no hard and fast sanctions put into place there and then to stop this kind of thing happening again?
Well, they have got rules. The rules are there. I mean, there's rules in life. I mean, you walk
the
down
sanctions aren't there.
But the sanctions are there. But then the sanctions specifically to a playoff semi-final probably haven't been thought through. Why do we see Manchester City able to drive the bus through the Premier League rules? Because the rules have not been well thought through. Because it's like everything else. The rules were originated 150 years ago, and they've been little bits added on and added on and added on, rather than reconstituted and rethought through. This is a situation that no one would ever imagined. And here you've got, on the eve of the second biggest game outside of the Premier League, and arguably one of the biggest games in domestic football around the world, because the prize for a football club is so significant. Yeah. £200 million, £120 million to going into the Premier League, and X amount of parachute payments at your worst case scenario, plus all the sponsorship deals, plus the increased revenue inside the games. It's £250. It's £250 million set of circumstances here. So this people don't muck about.
There's a text, no naming it. This is cheating.
It is cheating.
Pure and simple, Jim.
It is a form of cheating.
Southampton should be kicked out. End of. Do you think it's going to come to that?
It is cheating.
What a story. If Southampton win tonight and get themselves up to the Premier League and are stopped in their tracks.
Well, this is again, do the EFL have the bandwidth to do this? Do they have the jurisdiction to do this?
Do they have the balls to do it?
Well, if they have the jurisdiction to do it, they'll have to have the balls to do it. The question is, do they have the jurisdiction? Are they provided within the governance and the game's rules that they have to be able to take this step? Because looking at the rules in the broadest terms, I mean, Stefan would be a great person to ask this question, Stefan Bolson, about the reality of how much bandwidth they've got to be able to make this decision. And maybe we'll ask him over the next day or so, because he'll have studied it, because that's what he does in his little bedroom, in his little scribe with his little pen and things. But with all that in mind, it is. I mean, sometimes this is a game that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Oh, it is, Simon. It absolutely is. God only knows what Dragon Solak thinks of it all. The Southampton owner. I can't think he's too comfortable with the whole situation.
I bet the ownership and the chief executive are absolutely clucking.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. I can tell you this now, in my experience of boardrooms, we are, having been in and been one, there's a desire to win. But I don't think it extends to this sort of space. because
behind bushes.
I don't think so. So I think the poor bugger owning the football club and his chief executive are probably running around, trying to find their heads in their hands.
What's the atmosphere going to be like tonight in that St Mary's boardroom?
Well, I suppose it's
welcome everybody from Middlesbrough. Come in.
Not good, I suspect now.
Boy, so much riding in this one, and it's live in Talk Sport. So are we at 10:30.
I'm going to go Friday after work pint, number 5, mate.
Number 5.
There he is. So do you want it? You ready?
Yeah, go on.
In number 5.
Number 5.
Friday after work pint. You've worked hard all week. You want to go there, just have that first pint. You've earned it.
Number 4.
Beer garden pint. This can happen any time of day.
Good pint.
Any time, any day of the week. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, meet the lads. Sunday afternoon.
Good pint.
Right, sun's got to be
Number 3.
Football pint. The football pint's in. You meet your lads, meeting up Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it is. First pint, in you go. We're going to get a beer again.
Yeah.
Number 2.
The holiday pint. Mr. O'Hara wants that one. Yeah. When you get there, you've done the journey. Yeah. You've gone through everything you need to do. Passport, security checks, the journey. Yeah. You get out, you smell, you feel a bit grubby. Don't care. You get on the, wherever you get to then you get to your destination. Bags get dropped. Sit there. You've earned this pint.
Yeah, it's a good pint.
Good pint.
That's my favourite.
There you go.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Airport. It's the only one, mate. Airport pint. It's the only one. You're there. It doesn't matter what time. Not with lads. No. Doesn't matter who you're with. If you're with me, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, whatever it is, that's the point.
Do you know what's disappointing in this whole, ranking that we've done?
Have I missed something?
Yeah, well, your missus. There's not one pint that involves your missus. Not one. Where's Hannah in this?
I'm at the airport with her.
No, you're not. You're not at the airport with her. You're with Razor Ruddock.
No.
Paul Scholes thinks Man United appointing Michael Carrick will taper fans' expectations on winning the league anytime soon, but says his old teammate has probably done just about enough to get the job full-time.
Look, if there was a Thomas Tuchel or a Luis Enrique available, which I don't think there is, then I'd be sceptical of Michael taking it. But I don't think they're available, so I think Michael is probably the best candidate for it now.
Scholes reckons Elliot Anderson should be Man United's top transfer target this summer to play alongside Kobbie Mainoo. He also says Mikel Arteta's Arsenal aren't anything special.
I don't think at this point it's going to be a team that we're talking about in the next 5 or 10 years with great admiration, to be honest.
You can watch Andy's interview with Scholesy back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Now, Spurs' relegation battle looks set to go down to the final day after they blew a lead at home to Leeds. Here's Jamie O'Hara.
What is he doing? A bicycle kick. Yeah. A bicycle kick in your own box when you're in the bottom 3, when you can't see what's around you, and he's trying to do a bicycle kick.
Matisse Tell curled in a stunner before kicking Ethan Ampadu in the face to give away a penalty. That 1-1 draw leaves Spurs 2 points clear of the drop. And Hull boss Sergei Yakirovich says taking the Tigers to Wembley will be the pinnacle of his career so far.
Dinamo Zagreb was the biggest club he's managed, but he tactically changed it. He went to a back 3 for this game, and that worked brilliantly. So, yeah, Yakirovich was a bit of a masterstroke appointment. And look, Hull fans are dreaming now. It's exciting for them.
Our EFL expert Adrian Clark still thinks Hull will be the underdogs whoever they play in the final. Saints versus Middlesbrough in the Spygate second leg is live on talkSPORT tonight.
Good Good morning, everybody. Just gone 10:30 this Tuesday morning. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. What did we see last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Spurs drew with Leeds, leaving the relegation race finally balanced. Dead but not buried. Have Spurs just thrown West Ham a bone? We're going to get to that very shortly. talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, joins us live this morning. Alex, Simon played on the hallowed turf at Wembley. It's my understanding you're playing in the hallowed turf at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today, are you? What's going on?
Well, playing might be stretching it, but yeah, certainly I plan to turn out, Jim. Tottenham today, Old Trafford next week. I'm going to feel like a Premier League footballer for a few days.
Good grief. What, with a bunch of friends, or what is this?
Well, today is thanks to our good friend Dan Taus and BetMGM, myself, referee Joe and Sam Matterface have all been asked to play. And next week is the annual media against club staff game at Old Trafford. I've got to say, I played it for the first time last year. It ended 2-2. It's a really good game of football.
Why isn't Dan Taus getting you down at Brighton? That's his team, isn't it?
Well, to be fair, he's got more clubs than Nick Faldo, as we regularly.
So let's get into this this morning. We might touch on the Southampton story with you. Obviously, it's a club you know well. But Chelsea said to be exploring a deal to appoint Xabi Alonso as the club's new head coach. Where are we at with that?
Well, Chelsea sources are at pains to point out there isn't an obvious front runner. They say they're only halfway through their process of recruiting a new permanent manager. My understanding is that Xabi Alonso is the preferred target. I think he's already held talks with the hierarchy there. Sources close to the process have told me those talks have been quite positive. I think Xabi Alonso is keen to manage in the Premier League. I know there are a lot of Liverpool fans who hope that he will be their manager next season. I still think Arne Slot will start next season as Liverpool manager. There doesn't seem to be a desire, at least at boardroom level, to make that change. And perhaps Xabi Alonso is not willing to sit around and wait for that job at Anfield to come around. This would be a really interesting appointment, Jim. And there are other contenders in the frame, the likes of Andoni Iraola, Marco Silva, Oliver Glasner, to a lesser extent, and Felipe Luis, the former Chelsea defender, also on the short list. But I think if you appoint someone like Xabi Alonso, he's going to want a lot of control. I think it would represent a change in tack. This is not a rookie manager in the Liam Rafinha, even Enzo Maresca mould. This is someone who's managed at the very highest level at Real Madrid, obviously did a brilliant job at Bayer Leverkusen. And we were told, weren't we, after Rafinha's departure, that there was going to be a bit of soul-searching done at Stamford Bridge. And I think this will be an admission that actually some aspects of the Chelsea project are not necessarily working at this moment in time.
I mean, Simon, judging what Alex is saying, if they land Xabi Alonso, this would be something of a coup for the under-fire Chelsea board, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's a name that I alluded to and lighted upon about 2 or 3 weeks ago when people suggested who would you put in place. And I said, well, Alonso is a manager that Chelsea's a big football club. Just because they've caught a cold for the last couple of years, they've got enormous amounts of money. They're prepared to back their managers. This idea that no one's going to work for them, it's just foolish people that don't know what they're talking about, who've never actually run football clubs and never actually employed managers. The idea that Xabi Alonso goes to Chelsea, I think it's unlikely, but if it does happen, I'm happy to be wrong. I think it's more likely to be someone like Oliver Glasner or someone of that nature. But if they get Alonso, then Alonso is going to go into a situation in the same way that other managers might have done. This idea that this awful framework you've got to work within, you've got no input, you've got to do what you're told. Well, when did managers actually want to run around scouting players then? When do they want to run around deciding which players they do and don't want to buy? What they want to be is involved in the process. They want to make sure that the input they have is valuable and then they can get on with their bloody job, which is coaching the first team. So I would suspect now there's an opportunity for Chelsea if they can get Alonso. Of course they want the best manager. How are they going to beat the best managers if they haven't got the best managers? That's why the Rafinha thinking was always very strange, because it was a real punt. Pochettino you can understand a little bit more, despite the fact that I think he's a bridesmaid, despite the fact that I think the only thing he's ever won was in the league that they win anyway every year. Other than that, what's he won? He's always been a good manager, but not a winning manager. So alongside that, you look at it and say, well, Potter, early doors, makes a mistake, decide to get a young manager. And here we are now with Chelsea. If they get Alonso, then there'll still be a narrative in the background from certain sections of the media. How is he going to work within that framework? None of them understand what the framework is. Yeah, but none of them have any knowledge,
but
really.
It's not a fair question. Would the same Xabi Alonso be quite entitled to go in there and say, and incidentally, the way we do it is my way? Because if he does that, he's going to get nowhere.
But every manager will have that conversation within reason. It's my way on the field. It's my way on the training ground. But it's not your way when it comes to how much money we're going to spend.
But when
it's
Maresca tried that, he had to leave.
No. When Maresca decided that the information that he, once upon a time, from my understanding, was relying on, which was medical information, was subsequently medical information he didn't like, he then decided that was interference. The things that were agreed initially were changed, but there's a different dynamic. And here's where Alex and you will be right. The dynamic with Maresca is he was a championship manager that had no cachet. So he was coming into an environment where they basically want to grow together. Alonso is, despite the fact he got his backside drop kicked out of Real Madrid lickety-split, is perceived to be first-class manager.
Yeah.
So he will have a different dynamic of relationship. And by the way, he will have earned that as well, because he will have had the chops to be in a position to be considered differently. So we'll see how it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Alex, I think what's interesting here, Jim, Xabi Alonso and Andoni Iraola, for me, the two main targets for Chelsea, maybe you can put Marco Silva on that list as well, they share the same agent. Which I think is a really dynamic, interesting dynamic to this recruitment process. And it's going to have knock-on effects for Crystal Palace as well. Now, a lot of people raised eyebrows when the idea of Iraola walking out on Bournemouth and making what I think a lot of people would see as a sideways move to Crystal Palace was mooted. And actually, my sources there were playing down expectations when that was first mentioned. I think they felt he had designs on bigger and better clubs. If he doesn't get the Chelsea job, I think there's every chance that Palace make a serious play for Iraola, and that may well happen, particularly if, as we expect, they win the Conference League and they can offer Europa League football next season. But
on what grounds? I mean, you look at it and say that Iraola has worked for Bill Foley, who's a good chairman, who's a progressive chairman, who had the view to take him, even though Gary Neal was considered to be okay at Bournemouth, has backed him to some extent with decent support. The players they've sold, they've been forced to sell because they've had release clauses in their contract. Why would he jump, with all due respect to my old football club, who of course I have the greatest affection for, knowing what Parish is like, knowing what Glasner has decided he's walking away from, why would Iraola go, I tell you what, I'll have something that Glasner didn't want? Why would he want to go into that space?
I think it's a great point. I think he likes the idea of living and working in London.
Yeah.
I think that is a factor. And I think also, as good a season as it's been for Bournemouth, and it could be a historic season, particularly if they end up in the Champions League, which is possible if Villa win the Europa League. There are financial problems ahead for Bournemouth when the Premier League changed this squad cost ratio method that is already in place in UEFA competitions. My understanding is that their wage bill is already much higher than UEFA would allow. So there are issues they've got to address this summer, Bournemouth.
Alex, while we have you on, a club you know very well, Southampton, very much in the eye of a storm, and this is a developing story just now. Middlesbrough down at St Mary's tonight. It's the Championship playoff semi-final second leg, of course. It's 0-0 from the first leg. Middlesbrough believe their season won't end tonight, even if they lose to Southampton. They're pushing for the harshest sporting sanctions against their opponents after alleged spying on their training in the first leg. All sorts of people joining this debate this morning, Alex. The number of texts coming in. Here's one. Good morning, guys. Great show. Thank you very much. I'll get to who sent it in a second. The EFL will be desperate for Middlesbrough to win tonight. This whole situation is a real own goal from Southampton. They're on a fantastic run, yet they've managed to make a massive mistake. Alex, I mentioned the text coming in. There's Danny. I'm a lifetime Saints fan.
It's not a mistake, is it?
I'm over here in Dublin. I don't want Saints to be kicked out of the playoffs, but if consistent cheating is proven, then I can't see it any other way. I mean, this is gathering pace. Can you imagine the atmosphere tonight at St Mary's?
Well, it's going to be red hot. No question about that. And I think what they've managed to do here, Southampton, is, unless you're a Saints fan, they've got the whole country rooting for Middlesbrough to get into this playoff final. That last texter, I think, makes a really good point when he talks about, this happening on a consistent basis. I reported over the weekend that a lot of other championship clubs are studying CCTV footage from their respective training grounds, because there's a big suspicion now that this is not a one-off, that Southampton, under Tom de Rekker, have regularly sent staff members to spy on opponents. And yeah, I mean, cheating is a strong word, but it's certainly one that the Middlesbrough manager, Kim Hellberg, has not been afraid to use. And I look at this statement that Southampton announced at 10 o'clock. I mean, it's hard to say nothing in a lot of words, really, isn't it? There's no admission of guilt. There's no denial that they've done any wrongdoing, which I think is interesting. And then they've gone off on a tangent talking about the financial backing that Dragan Solak has given the football club. With respect, what has that got to do with these allegations? And I can understand why Middlesbrough and Steve Gibson are even more angry now and are pushing for these sporting sanctions. I don't think that will happen. I think it's a minefield if they were to kick them out of the playoffs, because I think Southampton would counter-sue then, and we could end up with promotion being decided in a courtroom, which is probably not what the EFL want.
Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us. This is gathering pace, isn't it?
It will be interesting to see how they... I mean, obviously, you will no doubt be sitting in front of a television wishing Southampton on, because it will give the intrigue to the next level of story. But the fascinating thing will be if indeed Southampton win, which they are on the basis of form, you must tip them as favourites because they've been so fantastic going into this. Maybe they won't be so fantastic because they've been able to spy on anyone this week. And maybe they'll
well, you wonder why, Simon. How could they have gone on such a fantastic run?
Yeah,
I mean maybe all sorts of conspiracy theories will come into play.
They probably didn't spy on Arsenal, did they? So let's have it right.
Spurs drew with Leeds last night, but how should that be viewed, considering where Spurs are, fighting to avoid the drop alongside West Ham? Is it a pivotal point or an opportunity missed? We'll get into that next.
Afternoon, boys.
So, yeah, as we said earlier on to Andy Brassel, it looks like it was moving on apace, the Jose to Madrid train. So, where are we at?
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the direction of travel. In fact, it's been suggested to me this afternoon that it's virtually agreed now that Real Madrid are going to reunite with Jose Mourinho. Of course, he's in charge of Benfica at the moment. He's had a pretty successful period since returning to Portuguese football, but there is a break clause in his contract at the end of the season that means a club can pay Benfica €3 million. He'll be a free agent, and that will enable him to move on. As I say, I think it will be back to the Bernabeu. I'm fascinated to see how this works out. It's been described to me as Real Madrid's worst season in a number of years. We heard about that dressing room bust-up last week between two of their star players. Obviously, it was a dismal defeat in the Clásico to Barcelona, handing them the title. So there's a lot of work to be done, but it's not the first time that Florentino Perez has gone back to someone that he knows. And I think in Jose Mourinho, they see someone who can come in and assert that dressing room authority that maybe Xabi Alonso struggled with all the egos that they have on their books. And clearly Arbeloa is struggling as well.
Good stuff, Crookie. Thanks very much.
No worries.
There's Alex Crook there, and we'll keep an eye on that story. Andy Brassel was sceptical, I think it's fair to say, earlier on, our European football expert, that was going to work, but the chairman or the president does what the president wants.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Never mind about Southampton or Middlesbrough going to Wembley to play in the Championship playoff final against Hull City, who got through last night, of course, at Millwall. In the Premier League, what a battle is going on to avoid the drop. And of course, it's down to two, Spurs and West Ham, fighting like crazy to avoid going down to the Championship. Last night, Spurs drew with Leeds, leaving the relegation race finally balanced. Spurs are on 39 points in 17th. West Ham on 37 points in 18th place. After the match, Roberto De Zerbi decided to take the positives out of that draw.
In the last 4 games, we made 8 points, but we deserve more than 8 points, but more than 8 points. And for that, I'm positive. I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to start to work in this week and to prepare the next game. For sure, we didn't win 2 games, the last 2 games, but as a coach, I have to consider the performances, not just the result. Because today, if we win today, nothing changed in terms of performance, because anyway, we didn't play a great game. But we have to be honest and to say we didn't play a great game, even if we win, no? And today we didn't win, we didn't play a great game, and we have to be honest.
Well, he got there in the end. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, De Zerbi and Tottenham Hotspur, Simon, had the chance to go 4 clear with 2 games to go. And they didn't. They blew it.
Yeah, I watched it.
So, in the process, did they throw West Ham a bone here?
They absolutely did, yeah. I mean, it's like watching Spurs after Leeds scored. It was like watching that scene, Legend, in the film where Tom Hardy plays both versions of the Craze, and Ronnie Craze laying on the floor going, I'm very, very fragile. That's how Spurs were after Leeds scored. They looked like they were completely, air went out of the team. They looked completely bereft of any confidence, and they're bloody lucky to get out of that game with a point in the end. Because, you know, that
goalkeeper.
I mean, the goalkeeper that, by the way, everyone said was toast. All these so-called experts have said he's done now, he'll never play again. Shows you what a bit of resilience can do in society, doesn't it? You can actually come back from a bit of adversity. And he kept him in my view, he might have kept him in the Premier League with that save. You know, in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. It wasn't a penalty before people start jumping on the bandwagon about James Maddison. Him being back on the pitch is a boost, but they were poor side. And he's papering it over. And the fact that De Zerbi, I mean, they're very, very lucky, you know, in due respect, to have played Wolves, who are a very poor side, and to have played Aston Villa that just simply didn't turn up. They were good against Brighton, but it's an interesting factor that it's De Zerbi against his old side. Yeah. Against Leeds last night, it's like me saying when Anthony Joshua goes in with a live one, he's going to be in trouble. They went in against a live one against Leeds last night, who were decent, and put it amongst them. And Spurs were lucky to get out of that game. Now, there's nothing more than Chelsea are going to want to do in 9 days' time than to help Tottenham exit the Premier League. Yeah. So it's up to West Ham now. If West Ham's performance against Arsenal, if they put that performance in against Newcastle, irrespective of playing at St James's Park, if West Ham get a result, a win, Spurs are bang in trouble again. Because who have they got? They've got Everton and they've got Chelsea, right? Everton last game of the season. Everton last game of the season, which is where it might go down to. I mean, you kind of want it, don't you? You kind of want West Ham to win at Newcastle, with due respect to Eddie Howe, so that the whole intrigue comes to an absolute crescendo. Yeah. And it comes, and of course the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge will be absolutely electric, because Chelsea hate Spurs, don't they? So with that in mind, De Zerbi will know that they missed it. However they got through that game, they probably really had to win it. I'm not saying that's a nail in their coffin. I'm saying they've opened the door again to West Ham.
Yeah. I mean, this was not a pivotal point last night for Tottenham Hotspur. No. This was an opportunity missed, undeniably. And De Zerbi maybe should have said that. When's he going to waken these players up?
He has woken them up. He's getting more out of them than was there before. Don't forget, he's had very little time to do it. I'm not his biggest fan. And I'm not his biggest fan. I think his reputation is massively bigger than his deeds. but he comes with a reputation, and the Brighton players say how wonderful he is, and I'm sure that the Marseille players say the same. But if you actually look at his record of the clubs that he's been in, it's really only Shakhtar Donetsk, Brighton, and to some extent a little bit of Marseille that's built him some reputation that makes him a well-beaten and third highest-paid manager in the Premier League. Work that out, right?
Who gives you more cause for belief, West Ham or Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, West Ham's form is, in my view, despite the fact that Spurs have made up 4 points on West Ham because they've lost 2 games back-to-back, West Ham, to me, are the better side right now. They're playing with more resilience and more determination, and they're unlucky not to have come out of that game against Arsenal with a little bit more than nothing and a bit of credit.
Yeah.
But Spurs have got the points. Spurs have got 2 points on them. And so, to me, it all hinges, really, if West Ham can beat Newcastle, then...
it's game on.
There's game on. It's game on because Chelsea are like a Forrest Gump, aren't they? They're like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
No,
but you're going to have Chelsea's fans sat there demanding that they beat Spurs. So you're going to go into a feeble, and even if those players that we think turn up when they feel like it are conscious of the fact they've got an FA Cup final coming up and all that sort of stuff, which is an advantage, I suspect, to Tottenham. There is still the demands from the Chelsea fan that will create this atmosphere that the Chelsea players will have to respond to. So it's a long way from over, this relegation battle.
Yeah.
It's a long way from over.
I mean, you remember in 2016, Chelsea stopped Spurs winning the title.
In the Battle of the Bridge.
2026, Chelsea might end up relegating Spurs.
This is almost, in part, without wanting to be too melodramatic, this is almost existential stuff. This is Spurs and Joe Lewis and his little desires to build this football club into something better and perhaps sell it for £3.5 billion down the toilet if they get relegated.
Yeah.
And everything's up for grabs. The playing squad will be decimated.
Yeah.
The club will be a laughing stock. Lincoln will be singing about Spurs every week coming down to their stadium like they did the other day. The whole thing is off. The whole gambit is up. And the players, you can see it. Look at the fragility in that squad of players. Look at the way they reacted to Leeds scoring that penalty.
Yeah.
They had nothing. They didn't know what they were doing. They had nothing about them. I sat there thinking, well, they're going to have to react to this. And they really didn't.
No,
they just about held themselves in the game.
They didn't. I wonder what Battle of the Bridge would be most damaging and defining, 2016 or 2026?
Oh, 2026.
I mean, can you imagine?
Not winning the league and not being the best in the league is nowhere near the same as getting kicked out of the league that you are supposed to be a mainstay in. And ultimately are so valuable. You've got the best stadium in the world. You've changed your chairman because there were better days ahead, and you've relegated yourself.
I mean, you couldn't have written it. You know, former West Ham manager David Moyes takes his Everton to Tottenham Hotspur on the final day.
There you are.
Phenomenal. Not over yet, not by a long way. Spurs fans, if you want to give us a call this morning, please do, because last night I thought the support from what I could gather at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was superb, robust, loud throughout. You're doing your bit, but why aren't the players? 03717 22 33 44. Whether you like it or not, did Spurs just throw West Ham a bone? It would seem they did. It's 11 o'clock and we are live in talkSPORT. Is the Anfield crowd continuing to turn, though, on Arne Slot, or can he win back the Liverpool faithful? Just last Wednesday, Danny Murphy finished off this show very strongly by saying, well, the Liverpool fans I know, and they're all diehards, have given up on Slot, and it's time to go. Arne Slot was asked if he feels he can win those disaffected Liverpool fans back.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Not this season, by the way. This season they will have their opinion and it will not change. But if we can have the summer that we are planning to have, then I'm 100% convinced that we will be a different team next season than we are now. Different in terms of results, different in how things look. But it's not always that simple, because sometimes you know what you have to do, but it's not always possible to also get exactly what you want. But for us, for me, it's really clear what we are lacking this season.
Well, the boos rang out, Martin, at full time, and many of the Liverpool fans, Simon, are not having them any longer. One wonders what he's going to do now, or if he has any time left to do what he wants to do and win them back round.
He won the Premier League last year, Jimmy. He's to be given more time, but they seem to have lost their way a little bit. I thought when he went there initially...
More than a little bit, though, Martin. Isn't
it? But when he went there initially, like, it was very... I used to say crazy Klopp, but I really like the energy that he...
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just gone 11 a.m, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We're told to expect a nuclear explosion with Saints and Borough on a collision course over Spygate. Former Crystal Palace owner Simon Jordan thinks Southampton's latest statement will enrage Middlesbrough's board.
I think there's very little doubt in Middlesbrough's mind. I think there's very little doubt in the EFL's mind. I think there's very little doubt in Southampton's mind. I think if I read the situation rightly, I think they've already coughed to it to Middlesbrough, and I think they've already coughed to it to the EFL.
Southampton's CEO says the club's cooperating with an investigation and has asked for more time to conduct an internal review. Someone was caught spying on Kim Hellberg's training sessions. Borough are expected to push for sporting sanctions if Saints are found guilty. Saints versus Borough in the Championship playoff second leg is live on talkSPORT from 7 p.m. One of them will meet Hull in the final a week on Saturday. Now, he's taken Manchester United back into the Champions League, so Michael Carrick may be hoping his former teammates give him their full backing to get the job permanently. Well, here's Paul Scholes.
Look, if there was a Thomas Tuchel or a Luis Enrique available, which I don't think there is, then I'd be sceptical of Michael taking it. But I don't think they're available, so I think Michael is probably the best candidate for it now.
Scholes is urging Man United to go after Elliot Anderson's signature this summer.
He will still have to test himself in the Champions League, but he looks to me like he'd be able to handle it absolutely no problem.
And to find out who Paul Scholes would start in the 10 for England at the World Cup, watch the interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube. And in the NBA, LeBron James still hasn't made a decision on his future in basketball. LeBron's LA Lakers lost in the playoffs to Oklahoma City Thunder. More at talkSPORT.com.
talkSPORT News.
Sir Keir Starmer tells his cabinet he's going nowhere as nearly 80 Labour MPs call for the Prime Minister to stand down following disastrous local election results. Sinead has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The season's changing, so get your car's shim pads and studs checked for spring with a free vehicle safety check. Book in centre or at quickfit.com today.
Cloud and rain moving southeastward across England and Wales. Sunnier in the northwest, showers there as well, and blustery winds. A cool day.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Good morning, everybody. 3 minutes past 11 o'clock. Busy show today. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. All eyes on that game tonight. Southampton against Middlesbrough. There'll be a lot of shenanigans in the crowd, I would have thought, tonight as this Spygate situation rumbles on. So much to get through between now and 1 o'clock. We're going to be talking about that Wardley Dubois explosive fight on Saturday night in Manchester. We'll get to that shortly. Representatives of both sides going to be joining us. But in the meantime, time for this.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
Simon, I'm going to throw a name at you and suggest that he may well be the real deal, and you might be surprised because we haven't spoken about this fella in these terms for a long time. We're going to do that with Selco Builders Warehouse. Marcus Rashford, once of Manchester United, now currently, of course, on loan at Barcelona. And Marcus Rashford scored a spectacular free kick in Barcelona's 2-0 win over Real Madrid to clinch the La Liga title at the Spotify Camp Nou at the weekend.
Yeah, great goal, wasn't it?
Great goal. For the first time in nearly a century, La Liga was decided by a Clásico. Now, last season, he joined Barca on a season-long loan deal. He has 14 goals, 14 assists in 47 appearances for Barcelona. Yeah, does look sharp. Yeah. Is his stay there going to be even longer? Post-match, he was asked in the mix zone about his long-term future.
I don't know. I'm not a magician, but if I was, I would stay. I would stay. So we will see.
And how do you reflect on this season, being here in Barcelona?
No, it's really good. I come here to win, so this is it. I want to win as many things as I can. So, this is one more to add to this. And yeah, this team is a wonderful team. They're going to win so much in the future as well. So, to be a part of that would be special. So we will see.
Why is it when they go abroad, these players, they put on that accent?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
Joey Barton did it.
I mean, there must be a reason.
Steve McLaren did it.
In a situation. I mean, I remember living in Australia for a while and suddenly developing an Australian accent. I don't know why. I just suddenly decided to speak to Australians in an Australian accent. They looked like I was a bloody idiot. He's a magician because he can magic up form when it suits him. Oh, yes, what is it? World Cup? Yeah. Yes, he can find form. He's a good player. Let's have it right. He's a good player. And there's no doubt about it. He's a good player. And he looked so sharp in the game that I saw. I don't know how well he's been going all season because I haven't been following him. I've seen him in instances where he's done well. I haven't seen him in instances where he hasn't done well. And, he is playing. I'm not sorry about the cynical sod that I may be, but it's a World Cup year and he turns it on when there's an opportunity to play for his country because there's a bigger picture for him in that mentality. Will he go to Barcelona? Will he stay at Barcelona? Yeah, maybe if you take a view on your salary, mate. Maybe if you suddenly decide that you're not going to demand 350 grand a week and then maybe a transfer can happen between Man United and Barcelona, given the fact this is a wonderful club and you want to go there. Yeah, I'll go there, but I must have everything I want. Right, okay, then we'll see if he stays there. But clearly that kind of football might suit him because it's a football that's played in a different way. It's not as physical. It's not as physically demanding. He's away from the British press that he seems to be unable to communicate with in a decent way at times because all you have to do is listen to little podcasts with little background music about how terrible his life is. But with all that in mind, Marcus Rashford, a fit and firing Marcus Rashford is not a world-class player as he's been built up to be. And I've always maintained this about him, that it's unfair what was done to him. They built him up to be on the level of a superstar, and he was just a very, very good player. And there's a difference between being a world-class player and a very, very good player, and he's a very good player. So I'm not surprised. I said to you, I bet he has a decent season in Barcelona. He's had a decent season in Barcelona. I don't think he's been the mainstay. He's been a pseudo bit part player coming off the bench, but he's done a decent return. He'll be in the England squad, I suspect. And if he wants to stay at Barcelona, I suspect they'll have him, but on their terms, not his.
I wonder if Manchester United fans would still welcome a Marcus Rashford reunion if it doesn't work out and he doesn't stay at Barcelona and he comes back. I mean,
we won't have him. I mean, we saw, and okay, it was a vox pop or a sample of people, but when he was there, complaining about his lot and deciding that he wanted to leave and throwing his tools down, suggesting that he doesn't want to play for Man United anymore, and then doing that little interview with Henry Winter, they were not having him.
No.
And we had a real cross-section of fans coming in saying, get gone.
Yeah. But they've seen what he's done periodically at Barcelona. Maybe new eras deserve a clean slate.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I mean, Palace fans have suddenly re-embraced Jean-Philippe Mateta, haven't they? Because he started to score goals.
Yeah.
Fans will have a view on things. Their football club is their religion.
Yeah.
And so anyone that doesn't worship at that altar is sacrilegious as far as they're concerned.
Well, club legends as well have a view on things, Simon. And Paul Scholes was on Breakfast this morning, and they got onto the subject of the possibility of Rashford coming back.
I think his time's done, Gabby. When he was at Man United, I think he'd lost a bit of love for the club, to be honest. He didn't really want to be there, it looked to me at times. So I think for that relationship to be healed will be quite difficult, and I'd expect him to stay at Barcelona, maybe for a cut price. I think someone was talking like 25, 26 million now. For a player of that quality, then I think that'd be worth taking. I just can't see a return. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He stopped working hard, Gabby. We well know the talent, the speed and the quality he's got, but if you're not willing to work hard, he almost became not arrogant in a way. Maybe thought he was a little bit better than he was. He maybe went in the Mbappe, the Cristiano, the Messis, where you think, I don't have to work. I don't have to work hard for my team. I'm just going to stay up here, take the ball, beat people and smash it in the top corner. That at Manchester United, it won't wash, and it didn't wash, and I think people saw right through that.
The nuts and bolts are this, Simon. Rashford's got a deal with United that runs to 2028, and this summer he's set to become the club's highest earner when Casemiro exits stage left. His loan deal with Barca includes an option to make the transfer permanent for 30 million euros.
Yeah.
And that's triggered by the 15th of June.
Yeah.
Barcelona unwilling to execute the transfer and trying to renegotiate potentially to sign him next season on another loan deal. United are saying thanks, but no thanks to that. So,
well, someone's got to say something. I mean, Rashford's the problem will not be, despite the breakdown from the Economist Paul Scholes, the breakdown will be his wages. His wages are £350,000 a week, 400,000 euros. 21 million a year for Barcelona to pick up on. They'll take him, but they won't take him at that.
No.
So we'll see if this boy wants to play football or if he wants to count his money. Because if that assessment, and I don't disagree with Paul that the assessment is probably right, and he has more qualifications to make it, being a Man United legend, a legitimate one, to talk about the attitude that he exhibited towards the football club, and I think that's about right on the money.
Yeah.
Whether he fell out of love, well, I don't know why he'd fall out of love with Man United. There's a wonderful football club to play for. Maybe you got to look at yourself, but they won't. They'll look at everyone else and blame everybody else. So let's assume that relationship is not going to be fixed. Then they're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Who has it? Are United going to turn around and say, well, we might as well just take him back and take on the £21 million a year, or we could let him go out on loan to Barcelona, charge him a loan fee, and also let him pay some of the wages. I don't know what Barcelona are paying, 50% of his wages, still 10 million quid.
Yeah.
And commercial people inside Man United will take commercial decisions.
Would Carrick want him back, do you think? I know we can't guess for Carrick, but if he makes a song and dance about having him back, then
that was going to be my next question.
That might be the option they pursue. If he doesn't,
that would be my next thought process. And where does Carrick fit into the great scheme of things about Marcus Rashford? I mean, did he play with him? I don't think he did he? I think he came afterwards, so there's no relationship in the dressing room. He's not part of a generation that Carrick has been involved with. Carrick's come across him, obviously, and has been involved with him because he's in his second stint as United caretaker manager.
Right.
So he must have a view on him.
Yeah. Well, he's saying all cards are on the table at the moment, regards Rashford. Nothing's decided at this particular time. Yeah,
but Carrick's not in the box seat to say anything, is he? Because if he starts talking about what's going to happen with Rashford next year, it's almost an assumptive close that he's got the job. So he might as well keep stum on that, because that's irrelevant what he has to say until he gets the job.
Yeah.
Now, he'll be saying that privately, not publicly, to the people that he will either employ him or not, that Rashford is the person that they want to keep or not want to keep.
It seems to me, with Rashford as good as saying, I like it here, I'm enjoying my time here.
Get him gone.
Yeah.
Get him gone. Try and do a commercial deal that makes sense. But the players got to come to the party. And the moment that Man United say, we'll get you gone, then the player and his insipid little agent will probably turn around and say, oh, you do you? Well, and then ultimately, we want all the salary. And then what happened is that Man United will have to take a view on the £25 million transfer fee. Because what Barcelona will try and do is, we'll do you a favour, we'll take his wages, but we're not paying you 25 million quid.
Yeah. I mean, they may as well shake in it, because both parties have gone on to better things. United, having said bye-bye to Amorim, have gone on to a more positive trajectory. And Rashford has it Barca.
I said, well, that's lovely, but the player's been paid by Man United to sit on his backside some at times, and the player's being paid half his salary to play in Barcelona.
Yeah.
So he's demanded a fee from wages from Man United, not fulfilled his end of the bargain, gone to Barcelona where he's having a lovely time, and Man United are paying for that privilege. So if there's any morality in the conversation, they'll try and find a solution which rewards everybody.
Yeah.
He gets what he wants, which is to go to Barcelona. Barcelona pays some money for a player that Man United develop, and Man United gets some money. The only saving grace, I suppose, for Man United is they didn't pay anything to get Rashford. So he's not on their books as an asset that was depreciating. He's on their books as someone that hasn't cost them anything. So getting out of £21 million of a liability in wages every season, so £42 million of a cost implication when you think about it. Suddenly these numbers make you pause for breath, don't they?
It's incredible.
£42 million for a player that doesn't want to be there, might do you a favour to turn up every now and again. It's probably a commercial decision that United would have to make.
We'd like him to learn Spanish, wouldn't we?
He probably does speak a bit of Spanish, but he's not confident about it.
Well, it's like Joey thinking in France that he was speaking French when he actually wasn't. I see the diagonal ball.
He's a moron. I mean, Marcus Rashford is a different animal.
Morning, Joey.
So
he
that
won't
in
be hearing
mind,
us.
he probably listened to himself. And in this situation, Marcus Rashford probably does speak a bit of Spanish, but he's probably not that confident to be able to do it in a big long sentence.
I never hear you speak Spanish for all the time you've lived out there.
It used to be good when I was younger. So it's okay. My son goes to a Spanish-speaking school now at 5. He probably knows more than me now.
Yeah. Can you say anything? Can you take us to the break in Spanish?
No.
I knew it. Marcus Rashford, our pick for this week's Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch of view online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
It's going to be a fun run. I mean, with the Premier League, I think it really is in our hands now. I can't see us giving it away with our remaining fixtures, especially Burnley at home next Monday night, which I will be going to.
Yeah, I feel as well, Man City will drop points. I really believe it. Bournemouth away. Irio's last game, home game of the season, and they're fighting for Champions League. That's a tough game for Man City.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. If obviously Aston Villa go and win the Europa League final, doesn't that open
sixth place? Yeah.
Yeah. So Bournemouth have got it all to fight for.
Because Brighton have got 2 winnable games behind them as well, so they know they probably need 2 wins. Bournemouth.
Yeah, Brighton have been in great form as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But guys, I've got to tell you, and I know you guys have probably already been told, but a lot of rival fans listening to this are going to think I'm crazy. I actually, a few weeks ago, had Mikel Arteta's face tattooed on my forearm.
No,
I don't believe you.
I really have. It's on my TikTok page. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of it, am I?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, so if for anyone listening, it's called Arsenal.overflow. And yeah, you'll find it on TikTok. It's pinned at the top of my profile. I had Mikel Arteta's face tattooed alongside Thierry Henry and Emirates Stadium in the background because I do believe in this man. I do believe he is the one that's going to get us over that line, get us the trophies. And once these come in this season, I think we're just going to keep on going. Then I think the next couple of seasons we'll continue winning a lot more silverware.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
It is Tuesday morning. It is 19 minutes past 11, and it's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. The dust is still settling from that right punch-up on Saturday night in Manchester between Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley, which saw Dubois picking himself up off the canvas twice, including the first 15 seconds to stop Wardley in the 11th round. Very shortly, we're going to hear live from boxing agent, a man who is working in the Dubois corner, and he is Sam Jones. Get to Sam in a second. But after the fight, there was so much to talk about. And the focus was, of course, on Dubois and his trainer, Don Charles, who spoke to talkSPORT.
I love that. Thank Fabio for a great night. I love that. What a warrior. 20,000 people in here loved what you did tonight. Is that you at your best? I don't know if that was my best, but it was the confidence I needed coming back from a loss. From a loss, exactly. Two-time heavyweight champion of the world at 28. How does it feel? Legendary status, man. Nobody could ever question this young man again. Yeah? All that quitting nonsense. Nobody will ever question him again. Two-time heavyweight champion of the world under you. It sounds good, doesn't it? It does. There's more to come. There's more to come. We were in there with a very dangerous fighter in the name of Fabio Wardley. He should be proud of himself.
Well, a member of Daniel's team, Sam Jones, boxing agent, joins us live. Sam, good morning. Good to have you on the show, mate. Daniel Dubois, a man to be doubted no longer, I would think.
Yeah, good morning, guys. No, he's... stunning performance from both men, really. It was a fight that it's probably the best fight I've ever watched live, if I'm honest with you. But as I say, I thought the rounds that Daniel, except from the rounds Daniel got put down in, I believe Daniel won every round. I thought he was fantastic, and he had to battle through a lot of demons, and he battled through it. He answered he answered all the critics emphatically.
Sam, here's the thing. Do we want to see it again? Do you want to see it again?
It's not for me to say, to be honest with you, Jim, because Fabio's got a rematch clause, which Frank Warren announced. It's not my place to announce that. So you'd imagine Fabio, being the man that he is, will activate the rematch clause.
Do you think he will, Simon?
As Sam says, we both know Fabio. We both know that he's a man of incredible resilience. There was no way, with due respect to Daniel, that I think he was going to knock Fabio out just out of sheer willpower, because Fabio was shipping so much punishment that if he was going to go, he would have gone. And so he's got all of that characteristics. Whether he should, whether there is a better way to go, how much rehabilitation he has to go through, both mentally and physically, to get himself back into that circumstance. I don't like that fight for him again. I think, with due respect to Fabio, and I really like him, I think he was an absolute class act leading up through all the build-up to through all the media that he did, through to the show that he did with me, through to his acceptance of the defeat and the magnanimity that he greeted Daniel Dubois and the way they handled one another. And Daniel was equally magnanimous. I think that there is maybe a different way for Fabio to go. But knowing the fighter that he is, he probably won't be able to avoid taking that. My feeling is if he goes in with Daniel again, it might get worse second time round.
Let's talk about Daniel, of course, Sam. Where is he now? Is he up there now with AJ and the Furies?
Of course he is. He's a world heavyweight champion for a third time, really. I mean, I keep saying 2 times, but he's won it 3 times. He won the regular belt in Florida. So he's 28 years old, and his CV, apart from Usyk, in my opinion, is the best in the heavyweight division.
Wow. You agree with that, Simon? That he's right up there. The only person that might eclipse him is Usyk.
Well, of course, because he's beaten Anthony Joshua. That people, I think he's beaten the version of Anthony Joshua, not the version that once upon a time people really lauded and applauded. They beat a version of Anthony Joshua that wasn't quite where he was, but notwithstanding, you can't take it away from him. He's beaten Hrgovic. He's gone in there and beaten Fabio Wardley. So I think over a period of time, with a few more fights, I think he'll cement himself as a Hall of Famer. And I think that he's on that journey. And I think he must be given all the plaudits because, like Don Charles has said, there was a lot of observations. They weren't unfair observations. You know, people get taken very personally in this sport because they feel it's a criticism that's sometimes undeserved. They take all the praise, but not the criticism. Yeah. There was questions to suggest that maybe when it gets dark, Daniel doesn't quite like it. But this fight got dark. It doesn't get darker than get dropped in the first 10 seconds and then get dropped 2 rounds later by a big hitter that's in great form like Fabio Wardley. And he dug through it, proved everybody either right or wrong, prove this camp right and people that were naysaying wrong. And the next set of opportunities will be fascinating. Whether there's a reason in Usyk's mind to fight Daniel Dubois again, whether it's bankable and sellable because everyone wants to get paid, is a different discussion. But yes, Daniel Dubois is living up to the articles that were written about him 5 years ago by people like Jeff Powell that said, forget Fury, forget Joshua. This is the British heavyweight. Now, whether we're going to see Daniel Dubois against Moses Atoma anytime soon, and whether that changes the landscape, that's a different discussion.
That might change the landscape. Sam, I want to put this to you. Team Wardley felt that referee Howard Foster should have taken stronger action against Dubois for multiple low blows and headbutts. What did you think about the officiating?
Not a tickling contest. I thought Howard Foster refereed it very, very well. I mean, look, Howard Foster got criticised in the past for stopping fights too soon. And I think he got it just right. I mean, I thought, me personally, I would have liked to have seen the fight get stopped 2 rounds before because it was a sustained beating. So I'm not quite sure what they mean in the sense they're upset with the officiating. Apart from the rounds that Daniel got flash knockdown in, Daniel won every round and the fight turned into a complete... listen, it was of course it was competitive, but it was very uncomfortable in the end because again, people can take me for however they want to take me, but I was worried for Fabio in the last 2 rounds. I wasn't even thinking about the win or anything. I was thinking about Fabio has a young baby, a partner, and his mum's sat front row, and I was thinking this fight must be stopped for his health. And if Fabio's the same again, I will be amazed because fights like that take some serious mileage off you. So it's a good job Howard Foster stopped it when he did, in my opinion.
You think it should have been stopped sooner, Sam?
One second, like Simon just said, which is correct, Fabio would have been swinging punches from the floor and from his hips and probably until today. So he got saved.
I mean, from Fabio's point of view, and I'm not betraying any confidences here, he was in touch with me last night. I vehemently disagree with all the notions that the fight should have been stopped sooner. I had my wits about me. I was switched on and still firing back and finding openings. Too many people are getting carried away with a little bit of blood and some swelling. Take a whole lot more to take me out.
But as Sam and I have discussed, it's not about the aesthetics of that individual fight. It's about how much of the damage that goes on. Fighters can't take these kind of beatings, however brave he was and however galvanised he'll be going forward. And you don't want your fighters in and amongst that. If it's not your day, and it looks like it's not going to be your day, and you're in the end of a shellacking, which I think he was from around round 6 or 7, then it's the trainers and the people that support the fighter's job to keep him for another day. Fabio, of course, is one of those that will absolutely, and rightly so, defend his team because they'll defend him.
Yeah.
And that shows you the significance of the man. But it's also right to suggest, and Sam, I suspect you speak to it more eloquently than me, that you've got to make sure that your fighter's insulated because there is a career to be had and not just one situation where you've lost a fight and been beaten up in that fight. You've got to go again.
Yeah.
Can I mention something quickly? It's easy for us, like I say, I have, as long as your opinion is not from an agenda, constructive criticism can be aimed at anyone, whether it's me, whether it's Ben, whether it's anybody, as long as it's not a gender purpose. And I did feel a little bit for Fabio's team afterwards because, like I say, I do believe he should have been pulled out 2 rounds before. When he staggered off his stool, I thought, guys, I said to the doctor, I said to everyone, I was shouting, you must stop the fight. And it's not from, believe me when I tell you this, hand on my heart, it's not from, oh, I wanted the fight to be over and just to celebrate with Daniel. It's the fact that save this guy for another day because Fabio is Michael Myers. He will take shots and he will just keep coming forward. And he was like a horror film. But when you are in that, I'm not a trainer. I'm not a talented trainer like Ben and Lee Wiley and Rob Hodgins in his corner. Fabio's known for pulling it out the bag. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But my observation was, which is with no agenda, because I like all of those guys in that corner, is that the fight should have been pulled, whether it was the doctor, the ref, the corner, the fight should have been pulled because Fabio is too tough for his own good. And he's, like I say, he's a good man, and he really is a real life Rocky story. And he couldn't have any more. I couldn't have any more respect for a person if I tried.
Sam, before you leave us today, it's fair to say in the build up to the fight there was a fair bit of toing and froing between yourself and Wardley's manager Michael Offo. Have you exchanged pleasantries since?
Listen, I called him a bag carrier in the press conference because he got a bit personal with me. But I take it back. I'm off to Egypt for Jack Catterall's world title fight this week. I'm doing quite a lot of stuff in boxing, so I'm not quite worried. I'm not really worried about what Michael Offo thinks of me, but I genuinely wish him all the best, and I'm sure I'll see him again very soon.
Okay. Sam, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Sam Jones, boxing agent, and watching Daniel Dubois' team. I think we're all agreed, Fabio, as brave as a lion,
yeah,
but maybe for his own good.
Yeah, I mean,
it was stop when it was
well, you heard Stan Dubois talk about if it was my son, I would have taken him out.
Yeah,
but fortunately for him, he wasn't in that position.
Sure. I'm in the position to tell you it's 11:30.
I look back on it, it's probably one of the best shows we've ever put on. The main event was just unbelievable. Unbelievable fight. Two absolute warriors who gritted their teeth and gave everything. And the place was rammed out, it was sold out, and everybody there, they were just enthralled by it.
And of course, we saw it happen in the early moments. Frank Dubois picked himself up from the canvas twice after all the question marks about heart. And I know you bristled at these questions before the fight, but is Daniel now no longer a man to be doubted?
Well, look at the punches that he took. And he got up, and he gritted his teeth and got on with it, and he's matured. And he boxed extremely well. I watched it back on the replay on TV, and I thought it actually looked better on the replay than he did when I was watching it. I thought he was excellent, and he was so good afterwards. The way he praised Fabio for his, the part he played in the fight. It was magnificent. And anybody who doubts Daniel now, I don't know what planet they're on. I mean, he's matured mentally, and I believed in him. We've stuck with him. We believed in him and stuck with him, and he delivered for everybody.
I think you thought the heart issue, the heart question, was a valid one before the fight.
Well,
Simon.
I didn't think it was a valid one, but I thought it was a legitimate narrative. I don't think the heart question is any more relevant to Daniel Dubois than it was to Zerda Ramirez last week when David Benavidez knocked him and he went down on his knee twice. I think it's a narrative that gets seeded and people have to live with it. It started with Joe Joyce. It got replicated against Usyk and
Paul Scholes thinks Man United appointing Michael Carrick will taper fans' expectations on winning the league anytime soon, but says his old teammate has probably done just about enough to get the job full-time.
Look, if there was a Thomas Tuchel or a Luis Enrique available, which I don't think there is, then I'd be sceptical of Michael taking it. But I don't think they're available, so I think Michael is probably the best candidate for it now.
Scholes reckons Elliot Anderson should be Man United's top transfer target this summer to play alongside Kobbie Mainoo. He also says Mikel Arteta's Arsenal aren't anything special.
I don't think at this point it's going to be a team that we're talking about in the next 5 or 10 years with great admiration, to be honest.
You can watch Andy's interview with Scholesy back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Now, Spurs' relegation battle looks set to go down to the final day after they blew a lead at home to Leeds. Here's Jamie O'Hara.
What is he doing? A bicycle kick. Yeah. A bicycle kick in your own box when you're in the bottom three, when you can't see what's around you, and he's trying to do a bicycle kick.
Matisse Tell curled in a stunner before kicking Ethan Ampadu in the face to give away a penalty. That 1-1 draw leaves Spurs 2 points clear of the drop. And Hull boss Sergei Yakirovich says taking the Tigers to Wembley will be the pinnacle of his career so far.
Dinamo Zagreb was the biggest club he's managed, but he tactically changed it. He went to a back three for this game, and that worked brilliantly. So, yeah, Yakirovich was a bit of a masterstroke appointment. And look, Hull fans are dreaming now. It's exciting for them.
Our EFL expert Adrian Clark still thinks Hull will be the underdogs whoever they play in the final. Saints versus Middlesbrough in the Spygate second leg is live on talkSPORT tonight.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Okay, it's that time, and that time is 11:35. We're joined by Alex Licence from BetMGM. Going to look at some of the top sporting events, some of the games, what's coming up, and the odds round and about them. Alex, good morning to you. What about Tottenham Hotspur 1, Leeds 1, and the rest of the relegation picture? How are you seeing it?
Yeah, morning lads. I was at the game last night, and I thought Leeds were fairly average first half, but Spurs didn't take advantage of that, and then we came out much better in that second half, and should have won it if it weren't for that wonder save at the death. But I do have to say I found it interesting this week. I'm only talking purely what I've read on social media, but Tottenham and West Ham fans doing their predictions as you do for the run-in, where we'll pick up points, etc. They all seem to have Leeds as down as like a bit of a gimme, 3 points. This is a Leeds side that have lost 3 in our last 23. 2 of those were Arsenal, Man City, and we showed last night we're definitely not going to roll over for anyone. But yeah, the market, Spurs have ever so slightly shortened in terms of going down. They were 9-2 before the game. They're now 3-1. 2 clear, essentially 3 with goal difference, but probably a tougher run-in with Chelsea and Everton compared to West Ham. We've got ourselves and Newcastle, but I'm definitely excited to watch it from the comfort of our safety.
I'm sure you are.
I don't think anyone thinks Leeds are a gimme, because Leeds have proven over the last 3 or 4 months that they're anything but a gimme. I just think there was the added intensity that Tottenham's need was greater than Leeds. Leeds had little to play for. But as Daniel Farke said last night, and you would have heard him, you got to play for Leeds United. You wear a shirt. You play for Leeds United. You put that shirt on. You don't show the prerequisite of intensity. You don't get that shirt on in the first place, which I thought was a brilliant interview.
It was. You, the fans, demand it off those Leeds players, Alex, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I can't imagine these professionals who train 5 days a week, they're never going to turn up and think, I'm not too fussed about today. And obviously, as you know...
Tell that to Aston Villa then, when they played Spurs last week.
That's a good point, yeah. Maybe they're the anomaly. I've never wanted a Leeds team to do that, and they certainly didn't last night.
Elsewhere, Millwall 0, Hull 2, and tonight, well, the game that we're talking about for a variety of reasons, Southampton Middlesbrough Championship playoff semi-final second leg, and that's a talkSPORT exclusive. You want to touch on last night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you enjoyed that one, Simon. But what a season it's been for Hull. Before the season, we had them as 4th favourites to be relegated at 3-1. And they were as big as 7-1 just to finish in the top 6, and look at them now, 90 minutes away from the Premier League. Even going into last night, they were 8-1 to be promoted. They're now 9-4 as they await the winner of tonight, and probably doing them a little bit of a disservice and writing them off as they have been done all season. But if you're Southampton or Middlesbrough, you've got to be licking your lips at the prospect of playing Hull at Wembley, surely.
I don't think anybody
can happen on any given day.
No, I don't think that's fair. I don't think anybody in a playoff semi-final licks their lips about who they get in the final.
Yeah.
I think they think it's a task, it's an ordeal, that at the end of it, when you win it, is the most wonderful moment. But it's an ordeal, it's a challenge. These teams are in the top 6 sides in the division. I don't know what the heads are between the sides. But Hull, all of a sudden, who picked them to beat Millwall? Who picked them to shut Millwall out in the first game and beat them in the second? Millwall were the formed team. They were the team that was almost going to nip into automatic promotion. It was down to the last game of the season for Ipswich to secure promotion. So, with due respect to Hull and what they may or may not represent, I remember Hull going into the playoff final in 2008 after Bristol City had knocked my team out, and no one expected them to beat Bristol City. Yeah. And up comes Dean Windass, and boom. So I don't think anyone's licking lips at all. I think it'll be a tough game whoever gets there.
Sure. What about Southampton Middlesbrough tonight then?
Yeah, we've got Southampton as favourites at 13-10, but they are actually winless in the last 5 against Borough. We've got Borough at 19-10, and then the draw at 5-2. But if you're looking at purely the qualifying markets, Southampton at 4-6, and then Borough even money. Personally, I can't see past Southampton, especially with a home advantage, and I think Borough must be kicking themselves after dominating that home leg and coming away with a goalless draw. But you never know, dear, and very much looking forward to watching that one tonight.
We just seen Hull defy the logic, right?
Yeah,
they've gone to Millwall and beaten Millwall, so there's no reason why Middlesbrough can't do it. And let's have it right. They've got an extra motivation, and so have the EFL. The EFL will be willing them. Hope. Come on, Middlesbrough. There'll be Trevor Birch in a Middlesbrough scarf. Sorry, Trev.
It's going to be mightily interesting where it goes if Southampton get themselves to Wembley. What happens between now and then? Anyway, 1 month to go to the World Cup. What are you thinking this morning?
Yeah, a month yesterday, and it all kicks off across the pond, doesn't it? England currently third favourites at 6-1, France at 5-1, and then Spain the leaders at 9-2. And we're chatting this morning with the lads in the office, naturally, as you do, trying to find some positives, some positive angles for England. And we're talking about them having 3 league-winning teams that will feature English players this season. So you've obviously got whoever wins it between Arsenal and Man City. Then you've got Rashford at Barcelona, Kane at Bayern, and I might be clutching at straws a little bit here, but having several players sort of go into that World Cup on the back of winning a league, having that sort of winning mentality, do we think that counts for much going into that?
Well, winning's winning, isn't it? But the fascinating thing is that given the climate, because people are making such a big deal about the climate and how the European sides are going to be handicapped by that particular climate. Spanish, of course, live in the no South American sides in the mix. What does that tell you about the state of South American football? No, Brazil. We got Carlo Ancelotti manages in the Brazilian team. He hadn't been put in charge of Brazil for them not to win the World Cup.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the moment, who are you thinking of at the moment as your out and out favourite to lift the trophy?
I'm desperately hopeful.
I'm thinking Spain.
I'm spending a lot of time again in Spain, so I'm desperately hopeful it's not going to be the Spanish, because I had to endure the Spanish winning it and living out there, and they're not the most palatable people when they won something. The French, well, if we have the French, we've got to have Petit in the studio, so that's not particularly appealing to me either if they win again. So I'm desperately hoping that
an ordeal, isn't it?
I'm hoping that it's us. Listen, it's a whole combination of teams that are going to turn up. It'll just be interesting to see who's an outlier, who comes in from left field and challenges. We haven't seen that many times in tournament. We saw it back in 2004 when the Euros were won by Greece and came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how much the weather plays a part.
Oh, it's going to play a big part.
It's going to be so hot.
Alex, presumably, like the man to my left, you're hoping it will be yours. He says us, being England. Obviously, as a Scot, I'm not going to join into that party. But you're thinking, are you thinking England? Any part of you thinking England?
You've got to. We've come so close in the last few times, and we actually, it's head and heart, isn't it? We did a bit of research, and in the Euros, quite interestingly, over 50% of punters that backed England also backed France. So I think you've got your bet with your head and then you bet with your heart there, haven't you? But I've got to back England all the way, of course we have. But you said about the South American team, Simon, both Argentina and Brazil at 8-1, which could pick a bit of value if you do think the climate's going to have that much effect.
Yeah. Scotland featuring in your top 10 anywhere?
No, I have to scroll right down the list for them, unfortunately, Jim.
Okay.
250-1 currently.
250-1.
It's quite short for Scotland.
I was going to say, I mean, it's not exactly a 5,000-1 Leicester job, is it? 250-1. We'll see
change
where
after
we go
get beat by Haiti.
Thank you very much indeed, Haiti. Jakes. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
We were talking about Marcus Rashford. He is a La Liga champion. Barcelona clinched it at the weekend. Real Madrid, we hear. What's going on at their club is totally different. They find midfielders Tchouaméni and Federico Valverde a combined €1 million after a dressing room row. Valverde apparently went to hospital with a head injury after the incident, but denied the pair had come to blows. But nonetheless, he was diagnosed with a form of concussion. Said on Instagram they'd suffered a small cut in my forehead that required a routine visit to the hospital. Yeah, I don't think so, Federico. You're playing it down. Simon, both players attended an internal disciplinary meeting on Friday, accepted fines of, wait for it, £430,000 each. €500,000 each. Did you witness? You did witness the odd dressing room bust up in your time at Palace, but nothing akin to this, I take it.
No, mine was slightly different. My manager punched a player in the face on the bench in front of everybody, but that was a different circumstance because the scale of these two players in terms of a side like Real Madrid makes it even more prevalent. I mean, the amount of money they're getting fined. I mean, players have altercations. I've never been that worried about altercations. I think out of conflict comes creativity, and often comes a better relationship. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you clear the air. Sometimes you create a different relationship between people, and sometimes you don't. If the relationship was bad before and it doesn't get any better, then it was already bad in the first place.
Yeah.
But sometimes out of these sort of circumstances, you find a solution. The fact they've been fined £500,000 each, it's not palatable. It probably goes to the heart of why Real Madrid are potentially looking at Jose Mourinho. That's one of the reasons what they might think a manager to get hold of this and say, what the hell's going on in this dressing room? Players are not performing on the field. We've won nothing again for another season, and we've now got players having fights. So what's going on? That might be some of the thinking that's going behind the idea that Mourinho should be brought back into the fold. No, it's not cool. But there's a different language in the dressing room. What we consider to be, if we had a fight in this room, besides the fact that it wouldn't be much of a fight between you and I.
Yeah.
If we had a fight, then it would be
it
would be something unacceptable. But players in the dressing room, the language of the dressing room is very different. The conduct of players is very different. The environment they play is very different. So there's a bit more latitude. I'm not suggesting it's acceptable, but come on, it is a sport that's played in a certain way with a lot of machismo centred into it. And every now and again, you're going to have people that have altercations. Danny will tell you regular stories about players that had punch-ups on training grounds.
Yeah.
Remember John Hartson getting booted in the face by Isle Berkovic all those years ago?
Oh yeah.
It goes on.
Yeah.
Young
I don't think we've had a dressing room bust up, have we? There's been the odd bit of verbal.
A couple of rows, not many though.
No, not
many.
All
right, actually, given the fact you get on my nerves as much as you do.
Well, the feeling's mutual. Sure, many apparently said that these things can happen in any dressing room.
Yeah.
I'd love to have seen it because I don't think it was what Valverde said. Just a little tete-a-tete. We came to blows. I mean, it was a lot more than that, I think. But it's Real Madrid. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's Real Madrid.
Everything goes with scale, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything goes with scale.
So what do you need? Someone that brings stability and calmness. Oh, yeah. Jose Mourinho. What? 11:45.
Let's not worry about other teams. I'm sorry, West Ham, not our problem. Okay, you lost 3-0 to Brentford. You've got 3 games. Go and beat Arsenal on the weekend. Do it yourself. Aston Villa, worry about Aston Villa. And the players, they took it easy. My daughter was there in the Holton. She's like, Dad, why is everyone walking? It was walking football from Aston Villa. But then when you see a performance like that, where they've put in 100% every player, you don't care about that. Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Istanbul!
Do you want the hands mask? Put the hands mask on.
Gary's putting the hands mask on. Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Up the European Villa! Istanbul! Istanbul! Let's go! Let's go, baby! Boys,
do as anyone see. Do as anyone see.
Yeah.
Let's set it up for Gabby.
Sorry. Has anyone seen Maximus Scott? Where are you, Max? We need some news. Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves, Sherwood Forest, Friar Tuck. Where are you, Friar? The original boots chemist. Hooters. Is Hooters closed? I used to open Hooters. Close Hooters. Shut it down. Matt Ford, do us a favour, mate. Stuart Broad, where are you? Chris Wokes, better player. Where are you? Tricky Trees. Rock City, HB Sauce, where are you? Notts, Forest.
And Big Age Masters kill me. The Big Age Masters kill me.
ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000. Oh my God. Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Now, who wouldn't? You fancy £25,000 in your hand, completely tax-free? For your chance to win, head to talksport.com/win or text WIN to 83338. TalkSportWin.com, I should say. TalkSportWin.com. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Line entries must be in by the 18th of May, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full terms, conditions at talksportwin.com. Your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 right now.
Talking about fines, by the way.
Go on.
Do you know how much Lee Bowyer got fined for that fight with Kieran Dyer on the field 20 years ago? 200 grand. So when you factor it in for inflation, just saying.
What did Dyer get?
He got off. He was sided with. I'm reading it now because I was Googling it to see what the actual outcome of that particular scenario was, to see what precedence was set there and how people got fined and what the clubs dealt with it. But apparently the club sided with him. They believed it was all Lee Bowyer. It was your fault, Lee.
What about your manager who punched your goalkeeper? Did you find the manager?
No, I asked the goalkeeper to punch him back. Trevor, God rest his soul, and he froze on the spot when I asked him to do that. But no.
But you didn't, and it all blew over. We've been saying the World Cup 1 month away. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It all gets underway when Mexico take on South Africa. Now, as we've been discussing in the build-up to this, many people are aware of the highly inflated pricing for tickets at the tournament. Infantino, the man at the top of FIFA, suggested only last week that they had to take advantage of the US market, while insisting demand for tickets is highest ever. But then again, the president, none other than Donald Trump, was asked by the New York Post about the fans having to pay $1,000 to watch the USA's first Group D match. And apparently Trump came away with, I didn't know that was a number. I would certainly like to be there, but I wouldn't pay it. I wouldn't pay that either, to be honest with you. What on earth are we hearing here? I mean,
who's setting the prices? I mean, what Trump has got to do with this? Of course, we're going to keep on bringing him into it because he's such a big figure. But this is FIFA's gig.
I mean, he even goes on to say, I'd like to be able to have the people who voted for me to be able to go.
So what do you want? Do you want Trump to intervene now?
In other words,
what you're saying, Jim?
Not everybody who voted for me, says Trump, can afford $1,000. So even he's saying it's a rip-off.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to get involved?
With Donald?
No, do you want Donald to get involved and make a big stand about the ticket pricing? Because just excuse me, whilst we've got this moment to share if I got it wrong, but I thought you didn't want him anywhere near it.
Oh, Donald, we don't want him anywhere near
So
it.
what we're asking them for Donald to get involved with the ticket pricing, or what?
I find it hard to believe that Donald doesn't know that tickets are extremely expensive for this upcoming World Cup.
But you know, he may well be aware of the fact that it's a very capitalist-based proposition, because he's the one that's promised in his first term that this was a $15 billion revenue generator for FIFA. And so that's the reason, in part, why Mexico, Canada and America got this World Cup, was because of the level of economics they promised for FIFA.
It's a bit embarrassing for Infantino, though, when Trump says, no, even I wouldn't pay that.
Well, is it? Isn't it? I mean, Donald Trump...
Well, it's not an endorsement, is it?
What does he need his endorsement? I mean, FIFA are running the tournament. They've asked Canada for special dispensation to drive through their states, and they're not being given that. So they've already had a smack in the face, custard pie there. You know, whether Gianni Infantino, quote unquote, Carl Pilkington, is getting a smack in the face by Donald Trump, I don't know. But you know, we know that the ticket pricing is extreme. We know that the game has been taken away. The domestic game has been taken away from the average fan. So why would it be any surprise? I mean, if you talk about the domestic game in relative terms, we talk about what cost of ticket implications of it, concessions being taken away, the price point of season tickets, everything going up, everything. Liverpool fans have just won a battle against inflation indexing to ticket pricing because they think it's the wrong thing to do. So why are we surprised that when you've got a tournament that has such rarity attached to it, with such opportunity, that ticket prices are extreme? And Donald Trump's opinion on it is kind of neither here nor there.
I wonder if Iran are going to get their way, because almost unbelievably, Iran are going to be playing in the USA in the World Cup. And Iran is saying it will take part, but it's calling for guarantees from FIFA and the tournament's hosts. The demands are pretty crazy, are they not? The football president, Mehdi Taj, was denied entry to Canada before last month's FIFA Congress. Links, of course, that he has to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps were cited as a reason.
Yeah.
And then the conditions of the Iranians before they set foot in the US, visas without complications for all players and staff. That's what they want. Visas with no complications, including those who performed military service for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Once the visas are issued, players and staff should not be subjected to any questioning by US immigration authorities. They should be allowed straight in when they arrive in the US. Visas for Iranian journalists and fans attending matches have also got to be resolved in advance. Where are they going with all of these demands? Because they really are not in a position to dictate before they set foot in the US. They're even saying the playing of Iran's national anthem during all matches must be, quotes, ensured and free from disruption.
Well,
you try enforcing that.
Sure, but that's playing to a gallery. That's playing to their own audience. That's basically suggesting that we're going to play on American shore and we are going to uphold the values of our country and we are not going to be pushed around by the Americans. Now, with due respect, the Americans will do precisely as they please. And the World Cup and the FIFA will do what they can to facilitate circumstances. But when it comes to immigration into America, let's have it right. The Americans will control what does and doesn't happen. And if they want to have a view on who they allow in, which we've seen repeatedly and endlessly, and who they want out and how they conduct themselves within the country, there's all of this, to me, is the Iranians playing to the gallery, to their home audience, to say we're playing in this tournament. Because some people in Iran might be saying, what are you doing playing in this tournament? Why would you go into a country that is attacking us in what we consider to be an unlawful war? And all of that will be part of the narrative that's being spun out. So why would a football team be playing on that country's shores?
The Iranians they're even insisting that journalists in press conferences should be strictly limited to match-related topics.
Well, I like that. I like that because I would prefer that because you're there to talk about football.
That's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not. But I would like that. I don't disagree with that premise.
The Iranian players are going to be asked about the ongoing invasion.
They are, but I don't understand. I like the idea that you turn a football...
the ongoing war.
You turn a football press conference into a football press conference and not to a geopolitical one, because the players are not equipped, as we well know, to answer these questions, and they're only equipped to either put themselves into an invidious position or to give popcorn headlines to newspapers. So I understand why that will happen, but it won't happen. They won't get given special dispensation about their visas. They won't be given special dispensation about the national anthem. None of this will be given to them. So really and truly, it's just an exercise in them playing to the gallery of their home audience to say, we are upholding the values of our country and we will not be pushed around any more than we're already being pushed around by this awful nation.
I mean, it is apparently taking place in the land of free speech.
Yeah.
So as and when the Iranian anthem is roundly booed, no one's allowed to ask a question to the Iranians about what
they don't. But did they come from? Do the Iranians come from an environment that free speech is at its centre?
But they're on American soil.
Sure, but
and the Americans are restricting questions on American soil at this World Cup.
Well, they're not restricting questions. What they're really doing is what they're asking for is a press that's focused on the football. I mean, I think there's nothing really wrong with that. I think the press will hijack and turn it into what. Come on, Jim, pack it in now. put up a slightly journalistic position. What are we going to learn from some 21-year-old Iranian footballer about the conflict? We're not going to learn anything. So actually hijacking them in a press conference when they're playing in a football tournament and turning it into an interview about something they're ill-equipped to answer is not really integrity.
But in the land of the free, at an open press conference, you should be allowed to ask anything about anything.
Sure, to some extent.
Do you agree with that?
I do to some extent, but there's no integrity behind the question because you're not asking it because you want to create a better outcome. You're asking it because it can create headlines for a newspaper.
That's your job.
So whilst you talk about the land of the free and and freedom of speech, you're only using that freedom of speech to weaponise it against the person that says it. That's a wonderful thing about freedom of speech. It comes with a consequence, and really and truly.
But does it? You either believe in freedom of speech or you don't.
Well, then, by the same token, you've got to accept that freedom of speech doesn't come without a consequence. So is it really free speech? Because the journalists are not interested in giving you freedom of speech. They're interested in making you say something or allowing you to say something. And then as a result of it, something's going to happen as a result of it. And you're going to be judged by it, by the same person that's giving you the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So what a wonderful world we live in.
Jeez, I've got a month of you in the US.
You have.
It's 12 noon.
I've spent the season, in fact, the last few seasons, absolutely hammering VAR as one of the most disgraceful, shocking, inconsistent, outrageous, and pathetic inventions in the history of world sport. And I would like to make a sincere and humble apology right now to VAR, which I think is a massively misunderstood, brilliant invention that I think should be the template for world sport for the next few decades. No, look, let's be serious. I think that I don't like VAR. I think VAR has sucked the joy out of watching football. I think the constant delays, the constant waiting around, the constant ruining of magical moments because you're never quite sure if it's going to count. I don't like any of it. And I would rather go back, honestly, to the days when we relied on a guy in a black outfit who was going to decide whether it was a goal or not, and with the help of his linesman. Because VAR, I don't think any real football fan likes this because it's so inconsistent. And ultimately, it depends anyway on human beings who've shown themselves to be remarkably frail when it comes to making good decisions. Now, having said that, yesterday, I felt that they made the right decision. They took 5 minutes to get there, and obviously as an Arsenal fan, I would say that. But most independent observers think that there was a clear, I think, double foul on Ray. You've got Pablo with his arm trying to throttle him, and you've got another guy pulling his shirt from the back. So I think it was definitely a foul. But is it...
Knuckleball free kicks. They used to be all the rage, but when was the last time you saw someone score with one? We're going to take a look at why we're not really seeing them anymore and also explain a bit more about how they work. The knuckleball peaked in the 2010s, probably because that Ronaldo strike in 2008 inspired academy players everywhere. Here's a young Mason Mount.
I tried to base my free kick on Ronaldo, hit the ball by the valve and it moves. So what do you do? Top corner, top bins.
The name knuckleball comes from a baseball pitch held with the knuckles rather than the fingertips, which doesn't spin as it travels. Now, no ball is a perfect sphere, so as it travels, it creates ever-changing pockets of turbulent air, causing that unpredictable movement. Brazilian free-kick specialist Juninho Pernambucano wasn't the first player to do it, but he did perfect it, scoring 77 free kicks over his career, more than anyone else. He was inspired by 90s midfielder Marcelinho Carioca and a guy called Didi, who was hitting knuckleballs in the 50s and 60s. Brazilians call it the dry leaf, because the ball looks like a leaf that gets blown around in the wind this way and that. So how do you do it? The key point is to hit the ball head on, usually with a straighter run-up. It's a punch-like shot and, crucially, as short a contact time as possible so the ball doesn't spin. Some people think players hit the valve to affect the air inside the ball. That's not the reason. It's because the part of the ball around the valve is more rigid, helping to shorten that contact time. Remember the David Luiz beauty against Colombia in the 2014 World Cup? We don't really see knuckleballs anymore. Why? Because players are being told not to shoot from dead ball situations because the XG is so low. In fact, as Opta shows here, since the 08-09 season, there's been a 10% reduction in players shooting from free kicks in the Premier League. In 23-24, a record low of 11 free kicks found the back of the net. And the knuckleball, by its very nature, is imprecise, which is why it's becoming a thing of the past.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT, coming to you live on your TV as well. Samsung, LG, Fire TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch the show, you can watch it live with us. And many Arsenal fans were watching as their side won by a single goal to nil at the London Stadium on Sunday up against West Ham United. But some of those Arsenal fans didn't particularly enjoy the experience because a number of them get involved in certain incidents as to where they found themselves sitting inside the London Stadium. What's more ridiculous, away fans buying up tickets in the home end or being attacked for doing it? We're going to get to that before we leave you today at 1 o'clock. In the meantime, we've arrived in, Simon, Clean Sport Week. Now, a third of young people in the UK have bought performance-enhancing drugs that are deemed life-threatening and are not approved for human consumption. These findings have come via a public survey by Census Wide on behalf of UCAD, UK Anti-Doping. Now, these very drugs, sometimes used illegally in elite sport as an alternative to anabolic steroids, are being advertised online, sometimes by social media influencers who recommend them to improve body image. So this is an area that really does need cleaned up, hence Clean Sport Week. I'm delighted to say the chief exec of UCAD is Jane Rumble, and Jane joins us live on the show. Jane, good afternoon to you. Let's kick off with your concern, and I'm sure you are concerned, but how much are you concerned by these findings around young people and their consumption, Jane, of performance-enhancing drugs?
Thanks for the invite to come in and talk to you today as part of Clean Sport Week.
Thank you.
We're deeply concerned. So what we've been seeing is misinformation online about image and performance enhancing drugs, and that includes these substances called SARMs, which come with significant health risks, and as you've already highlighted, are being positioned as safer alternatives to steroids in tablet form. And young people are interested. It appeals to them in terms of building their muscle development. But there's little, if anything, in the way of conversations, of information about the significant health risks associated with these substances, and they are significant. And to bring that to life for you, the different concerns are heart failure, heart inflammation, thrombosis, liver failure, liver damage. These are life-threatening situations, and yet there is nothing in the way of information to highlight to young people what's going on here.
Jane, in general terms, do you worry that performance-enhancing drugs and doping has become normalised in certain areas? And what's driving that?
Yeah, there is a risk of normalisation, I think, at grassroots level for gym goers. So as you've mentioned, social media influencers, online promoting these substances as safer alternatives to steroids, which, like I say, let's be clear, is not the case. But because there is this misinformation about the effects and very little in the way of accurate information, responsible information, then young people are interested in these shortcuts. And what we've seen through our research is that as many as 4 in 10 of the young people we talk to, that's people aged 16 to 25, have told us that in the last week alone, they have seen content that promotes superhuman effects and shortcuts. And as a young person, you can see how that might interest you, especially if no one highlights to you. This comes at significant risks. And what I'd also add is this is all based on clinical trials of substances from the 1990s that have never been approved for human consumption, that are illegal to sell for that very purpose. And we don't know the long-term effects of these substances.
Right.
So we're very much here today to say, check the small print, look at what's in your supplement. And if it contains a SARM, stop taking it. It's dangerous.
Jim makes a great point.
Well, where's the governance on this, Jane? I mean, does this come within the remit of the MHRA and people of that nature that are licensing these products, that are allowing them to be sold in the UK for whichever distribution method people are able to buy them from?
Yeah, no. So they're not licensed drugs. They haven't been approved for human consumption within the UK. So they are available as what I'd call a novelty food if sold for research purposes. And so you might see in the small print that the supplement says it's for research purposes. But obviously, if you're a young person, you are taking that substance and taking a serious health risk as well. So it's essentially a regulatory loophole is how I describe it. Right. And that's why we're stepping in, because we know a lot about performance enhancing drugs. And in our world, these substances are banned, and banned for really good reason, because they present serious health risks. So it's our job to not only work with elite athletes, but we're here this week to talk about built, not bought, to talk about no shortcuts. It's hard work, it's determination, and look to our amazing elite role models across the UK, our athletes who perform at their best with no shortcuts. They're banned in sport because they're dangerous. We call on young people, inform yourselves, look at the small print. There are serious risks here, and there is no price that you'd want to pay to play with your health.
And we've all got our opinion, Simon, about social media influencers. And these people are out there. They're all over the place these days. But it doesn't help when some of them are recommending to young people that you can improve your body image if you take X, Y, and Z.
I know that, but we can't control that, and neither can Jane. We can't control what influencers will influence. What we can do is look at either the elite end of the game and try to make sure that UK are funded properly so that we can get more testing into elite sports, so we can eliminate the principle of elite athletes doing it as a role model sort of example further down the pyramid to the younger kids. And then we can look at the regulatory loophole that Jane was talking about, which is surely we can't allow products to be sold into our marketplace for whichever distribution method by a regulatory loophole, which needs to be closed by legislation. So I'm sure UKAD will be campaigning and pushing for that, won't you?
Well, what we're doing is, this is the start of looking at this concern for the recreational level, for the gym goers. And I thank you for the invitation today to be able to talk about the concerns that we're seeing. And then later on in the year, we've got further research actually looking at these social media influencers to see exactly what kind of messages are being conveyed. And I expect that by the autumn, we'll be coming back with further recommendations to work with different partners, regulators, as well as, in fact, the professional body SIMSPA, for the professional sports and health professionals. So we already have brilliant partnerships with sports organisations. We have superb partnerships with our athlete commission, with big household names who also have wonderful followings and can be properly influencing young people to perform with hard work and dedication. And we're very pleased and grateful for our elite athletes who are such wonderful role models to young people.
Jane, it's not helped, in my view, when you have something like the Enhanced Games. We had the gentleman who was behind the Enhanced Games on our show some time ago, and a right old row ensued. This is the Olympic-style event where you can legally dope. I mean, how damaging is that for everything like organizations like UKAD actually stand for?
Well, I don't think it'd be a surprise to you that we stand completely against what the Enhanced Games is advocating. There is no safe way to dope. These products, image and performance enhancing drugs, including SARMs, are banned in regulated sport for good reason, to protect our young athletes from taking risks with their health. So yes, they may give you a performance enhancing effect, but the damage to your health is significant. Now, the Enhanced Games risks normalizing these iPads so that young people may believe that they are safe, but it is not safe to do so. But I think the Enhanced Games gets a lot of media attention, but it's going to be a small event. And we're fortunate that the vast majority of athletes across the world, amazing elite athletes, stand with us and put in a lot of hard grind in order to perform at their best through talent, through hard work, through dedication. And I think that is what we should be talking about. Clean sport, and the UK public embraces it. Our research has shown that very few people, if any, are interested in following the Enhanced Games as well.
Jane, just before you leave us today, in general terms, are the deterrents strong enough in sport? Sometimes we see instances of drug taking and the discovery of those drugs being taken in boxing. Would you want to see life bans introduced?
I think the sanction framework is working well, and it is sufficient. Look, a 4-year ban is significant. It can be life-changing. So the regulatory framework is a strong one. And when we find anyone breaking the rules, we take strong enforcement action. But first and foremost, we're here to educate athletes, to prevent them from doing anything unintentional. And also, most importantly, to make sure that they're looking after their health and their well-being so that they can perform at their best through hard work.
Jane Rumble, Chief Exec of UCAN, thanks so much for joining us, Jane, in Clean Sport Week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're at 12:15, coming up a whole lot more, including that situation that certain Arsenal fans get into at the London Stadium when they played West Ham at the weekend. We'll get to that shortly.
Christ on a bike. If you don't win it from now, in terms of beating Burnley and beating Crystal Palace, they've got nothing to play for either side, then you don't deserve to be champions, do you?
And so what would you be doing then on that Monday afterwards? Would you be coming in on that bank holiday so you can give it to me?
You'd be saying,
would you not bother turning up if
Arsenal
Arsenal win it?
It's not about giving it to you. It's about holding things to account. No one's really interested in your personal objective.
So we're so close to this. So at the end of the day,
the question is, do you now think that Arsenal should now win the league?
They're in as good a position.
So if they don't win the league now, that would be relatively inexcusable.
Well, why is he? When we get
and if City win this position,
just a minute,
I'd be saying the same thing.
Why were you?
It was a City bias.
Why were you not saying that at the beginning of last week? When Man City were in that position, when Man City get a point,
because I'm delighted.
Only a point.
I'm delighted that Man City, because I'm delighted that Man City aren't going to win the league. Who wants a monopoly?
Who wants it?
Well, why wouldn't I do? I'm not frightened of saying things. You seem to be unwilling to say certain things. You don't want to name pundits.
No, because I've been in this journey before.
Yeah, because you're
they're very flippant. It's very flippant
to what people are going to say.
Well, it's very flippant to dismiss.
Put your proverbial on the block and say it, and people criticise you or they won't criticise you.
I think quietly behind the scenes.
Have they won it, Martin?
No, they haven't won it, Jim. They've got 2 games to play. Look at Man City, what we're dealing with, and creating an energy. Will Pep be there? Won't he be there? Bernardo Silva hanging up his boots to go somewhere else. There's a drive and an energy to get to the finishing line. You're up against Pep here. Let's not discount that. You have to earn this.
You're not up against Pep. You're up against Burnley and Crystal Palace.
That's it.
And if you don't beat Burnley and Crystal Palace,
no, it's like a tug of war.
No,
you're on that rope, and that rope's starting to come Arsenal's way.
Offer to be the voice of a sheep.
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser. Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil.
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
It is officially Tuesday lunchtime. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. Don't want to bring it up again, but we have to. But for the reasons that will become apparent, West Ham fans will hate me for this. But yeah, let's get back to that game at the weekend. And it looks as if West Ham might just get something out of it at the end there. But they didn't. The goal was chalked off, and Arsenal left the London Stadium with all 3 points. West Ham fighting for their Premier League lives alongside Tottenham Hotspur. It's our understanding that West Ham are at this moment working to identify fans who may have sold their tickets to Arsenal fans after clashes inside the London Stadium. Now, footage online has shown a small number of apparent Arsenal fans being chucked downstairs. There you are. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. And you don't want to be one of those fellas. Chucked downstairs by West Ham fans in the home end after Trossard's goal. There's a fella taking a flyer right down a flight of stairs, virtually from the back to the front of that particular area of the ground. Now, there were also separate incidents. There was one in the corporate section. 4 Arsenal analysts sitting in the media area were also verbally abused after they cheered the Trossard goal. And going into the match, West Ham had increased security for this eventuality. Now, Simon, you don't really see the sense in anyone deciding I'll buy a ticket, even though it's going to put me right in the thick of the home support. But without ID checks at the turnstiles, is there no foolproof way to stop this happening?
Not really. I mean, the only foolproof way to do it, I suppose, is in retrospect to consequence the people that have done it, and use that as a reference point to those that think about doing it in the future.
Right.
Which is, I mean, if it's a season ticket or something of that nature, then you take it away from them in perpetuity. They can never come to the game again. I'm not entirely sure. Like I always use this analogy, you can put the best burglar alarm on your house, but if MI5 want to get in your house and break in, they'll get in.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, someone will find a way around it. There is a stupidity. I know you want to go and watch your team, but there is an inherent stupidity about wanting to sit in amongst the home fans in a game of this kind of critical moments, especially in the relegation battle for a team staying in the division with all the angst that West Ham are going through, and then celebrate a goal. I mean, I know you should be able to in a civilized society. I know you should be able to do lots of things.
Sure.
But, you know, you can close your eyes and drive a car steering it with your feet if you want to. It doesn't make it a good idea. I mean, the fact of the matter is you should perhaps look at the motivations of those who are going in there. But yes, I think West Ham were well within their rights to root out these idiots, both from the point of view of fans that can't control themselves, and also, more importantly, from the fans that have sold the tickets to those that are in the stadium. I mean, look, people shouting abuse at football matches is not a new thing. So the fact that a few analysts have been given abuse because they've...
Yeah, they've been in a fairly secure area.
It is.
I mean, that's all right.
It is what it is.
It is
right?
what it is.
It is what it is.
But if you're a couple of Arsenal fans who've decided, yeah, we desperately want to see this game. This game could be pivotal to us winning the Premier League title. You buy a couple of tickets off a West Ham fan and you're sitting there.
Yeah, but then you're stupid.
And then Trossard scores and you react.
Yeah, but you're
hurtling down a flight of stairs after that. What's more ridiculous?
I don't condone that.
Buying up the tickets or being attacked for doing it?
Well, a bit of both, really. I think you've got to control yourself, but people that support football matches, football teams, and give up their lives, and as I said earlier on, sometimes live through their club like it's a religion, are not going to be rational at times. It's not rational to run around spending every penny you've got to some extent watching a football team, living vicariously through that side. Don't ask someone to rationalise that, because it's not rational, it's emotional. So we're asking people to be unemotive about a circumstance which is massively affecting them. So I think the bigger crime is Arsenal fans, with respect, sitting in the West Ham end. I do. I know people are going to say, well, that's not right. Well, I don't care what people think. You're asking me. I think that Arsenal fans sitting in the West Ham end is probably massively ill-advised, and then celebrating a goal, specifically against a team that's facing relegation. It might be a bit less of a problem if you're playing against a mid-table Crystal Palace, and even then it's probably not advisable.
Yeah.
You're playing against West Ham, their fan base ain't particularly happy at the best of times. Well, and now they're sitting in the bottom three, trying to find themselves out of this dreadful conundrum that they find themselves in through no making of the fans, that a team's going to play in a championship, and they've got to endure Arsenal fans celebrating amongst them. I don't know. What do you want? I mean, do you want emotion amongst fans or do you not? I mean, yes, we want emotion, but the only kind of emotion that we want.
Well, exactly.
That's not how it works.
The way it works out is that on the final day of the season, Crystal Palace are home to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And you have to think the same thing might happen again here. That Arsenal fans, in their desperation to go in and see them do it.
But that's different. There's no jeopardy for Palace in this game, is there? There's a slight different edge to this game, whereas Palace fans might be offended, they're not going to be affronted because their team is not going to be relegated. They will be possibly playing in a game which is pre the conference final, I think. So their players might already be relaxed about the game, and Palace fans are going to be more focused on winning the Conference League.
You're trying to apply logic to this. You and I both know what will happen.
No, I don't think it will be quite. I don't think
Seriously?
the emotion's not going to be so heightened. The West Ham fans are bricking it. They're sitting to the side of the football stadium, looking at their club, thinking they get relegated, and watching it, and they're getting more and more irate. They're getting more irate with David Sullivan, more irate with Epoxy Stadium, more irate with the team's not performance, and they're more irate that Arsenal coming down and winning the game. So all of it builds up into a crescendo of emotion. And ultimately, what's in front of them? An Arsenal fan having a good time. So whilst I don't condone that he gets drop-kicked down the stairs, he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
It's a fairly irrational response, though, isn't it? If you're
but the whole of football's irrational.
You bought yourself a ticket, like at the London Stadium on Sunday, and the next thing, you're finding yourself somersaulting down a flight of stairs.
But then again, you're in the same position with the Arsenal fan, which is what do you want him to do? He wants to go and watch the game. He's bought a ticket. He's put himself in the eye of a storm, and he's not going to celebrate the goal because his natural reaction is to celebrate the goal. He's forgotten where he is. His team are celebrating to win the Premier League. That's why there's a ticket allocation. That's why the Arsenal fan is wrong, because he shouldn't be trying to buck the system and find his way through.
But they do.
And then they reap the whirlwind.
Yeah. Well, let's put it out there. Have you ever taken the risk, and it is a risk, because you saw what happened to some of the Arsenal fans, of sitting in the home end as an away fan? In the football environment, what is the point of doing that? Surely you're on hiding to nothing. You ever done that? Literally. Bought a ticket and sat amongst the enemy? Let us know. 03717 22 3344.
I'm going to go Friday after work pint, number 5, mate.
Number 5.
There he is. So do you want it? You ready?
Yeah, go on.
In number 5.
Number 5.
Friday after work pint. You've worked hard all week. You know, you want to go there, just have that first pint. You've earned it.
Number 4.
Beer garden pint. This can happen any time of day.
Good pint.
Any time, any day of the week. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, meet the lads. Sunday afternoon.
Good pint.
Right, sun's got to be
Number 3.
Football pint. The football pint's in. You meet your lads, meeting up Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it is. First pint, in you go. Hey, we're going to get a beer again.
Yeah.
Number 2.
The holiday pint. Mr. O'Hara wants that one. Yeah. When you get there, you've done the journey. You've gone through everything you need to do. Passport, security checks, the journey. You get out, you smell, you feel a bit grubby. Don't care. You get on the, wherever you get to then you get to your destination. Bags get dropped. Sit there. You've earned this pint.
Yeah, it's a good pint.
Good pint.
That's my favourite.
There you go.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Airport. It's the only one, mate. Airport pint. It's the only one. You're there. It doesn't matter what time. Not with lads. No. Doesn't matter who you're with. If you're with me, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, whatever it is, that's the point.
Do you know what's disappointing in this whole, ranking that we've done?
Have I missed something?
Yeah, well, your missus. There's not one pint that involves your missus. Not one. Where's Hannah in this?
I'm at the airport with her.
No, you're not. You're not at the airport with her. You're with Razor Ruddock.
No, hold on.
You're not. Hold on.
Let me
Hannah's involved in none of these pints.
No, hold on. I'm at the airport with her, definitely. I'm definitely with a holiday pint. I'm definitely with a football. I'm definitely not.
Paul Scholes thinks Man United appointing Michael Carrick will taper fans' expectations on winning the league anytime soon, but it says his old teammate has probably done just about enough to get the job full-time.
Look, if there was a Thomas Tuchel or a Luis Enrique available, which I don't think there is, then I'd be sceptical of Michael taking it. But I don't think they're available, so I think Michael is probably the best candidate for it now.
Scholes reckons Elliot Anderson should be Man United's top transfer target this summer to play alongside Kobbie Mainoo. He also says Mikel Arteta's Arsenal aren't anything special.
I don't think at this point it's going to be a team that we're talking about in the next 5 or 10 years with great admiration, to be honest.
You can watch Andy's interview with Scholesy back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Now, Spurs' relegation battle looks set to go down to the final day after they blew a lead at home to Leeds. Here's Jamie O'Hara.
What is he doing? A bicycle kick.
Yeah.
A bicycle kick in your own box when you're in the bottom 3, when you can't see what's around you, and he's trying to do a bicycle kick.
Matisse Tell curled in a stunner before kicking Ethan Ampadu in the face to give away a penalty. That 1-1 draw leaves Spurs 2 points clear of the drop. And Hull boss Sergei Yakirovich says taking the Tigers to Wembley will be the pinnacle of his career so far.
Dinamo Zagreb was the biggest club he'd managed, but he tactically changed it. He went to a back 3 for this game, and that worked brilliantly. So, yeah, Yakirovich was a bit of a masterstroke appointment. And look, Hull fans are dreaming now. It's exciting for them.
Our EFL expert Adrian Clark still thinks Hull will be the underdogs whoever they play in the final. Saints versus Middlesbrough in the Spygate second leg is live on talkSPORT tonight.
Well, now, as you heard from Amelia there, Sir Keir Starmer has been told by senior cabinet ministers to consider setting out a timeline for his departure after nearly 80 Labour MPs called for him to go. This is gathering pace. Of that, there is no doubt. Times Radio's John Pienaar has joined us on the 17th floor. You've come up a few floors to join us up here.
Always nice to drop in, Jim.
Always good to see you. What's going on, John? Is he on his way out?
Yeah, but I don't know how long that's going to take. I mean, this is like watching a really badly written political thriller. I mean, every few minutes, another Labour MP jumps out of the shadow with a dagger and then waves it at Keir Starmer, and the numbers just keep on ticking up. But it just keeps on going. And I say like a badly written movie. We're now seeing headlines on the channels saying that Andy Burnham has been spotted in London. He got off a train at Euston. We don't know what he's doing, and he's not saying. I mean, the whole thing is brewing up to a climax,
It's
but
like
there is no
deadline day.
climax. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like deadline day. So things are moving quickly, John, but at the moment, that's about as much as we know.
At this moment, that's where we are. And we had a cabinet meeting this morning, or they did, and right after that, a number of cabinet ministers came out into the street and said, look, Keir Starmer's going nowhere. He's got the country behind him. Look, I don't believe Keir Starmer's going nowhere. I think he's going out. And I don't believe the country is happy with where we are either. Most of the country on all the opinion polls say Keir Starmer does not have their backing. They don't think he's the right man in the right job. But still it goes on until something finally gives. And that could come when that 81 MPs drifts up into triple figures and Keir Starmer sees that, look, the writing's on the wall and says something about going. But still we wait, Jim. We wait and we wait.
Is there a certain number, John, that triggers it?
No, I mean, if we're not, there was talk of 81 MPs maybe saying they're going to back someone else. It was Catherine West, a little-known Labour MP. That might have caused a contest, which would have been like a pebble starting an avalanche, which he pulled out from running, or the plan to run. So she's now just collecting names. We don't know who they are. Those are anonymous. We do see the names that are declaring. And maybe when that gets to half the party or over into three figures, well, then it looks absolutely untenable. But it'll be then up to Keir Starmer to accept that it is untenable. And the guy, he's not the first Prime Minister to do this. He just shows no sign of wanting to let go.
It seems like there will be no chaos brought by us like you had under the Conservatives. We can forget all that.
Well, I mean, it is like putting on a fairly worn record, isn't it? But it's different. Yeah. Every departure of a Prime Minister is a little bit different to the one before. There's always this build-up of pressure, and then finally something gives, and something pops, and steam pours out, and the Prime Minister's gone. But we ain't there yet.
Yeah. What happens as and when he finally goes? Who will come in?
Well, there'd have to be a contest. And there's no shortage of people who fancy being Prime Minister, because there never is. And we know who they are. Andy Burnham, the bookies' favourite, the Manchester mayor. Behind him, he's what we now call the soft left, isn't he? On the other wing of the party, you've got Wes Streeting, who doesn't say very much about this publicly, but everyone knows he wants it so much he can taste it. And you've got someone like Angela Rayner, again on the soft left. And maybe some of those on the left of the party will swing behind Andy Burnham, because that's what they're thinking, when he gets into the race. But he hasn't, right now, got a parliamentary seat. So we're waiting for someone to make room for that. And if I haven't confused you yet, then I'm not doing my job properly.
You see, you're probably aware that every day I do this show, there are messages that, and believe me, this is true, John, that come in. Simon Jordan's got to be the next PM.
Right.
It's going to be you, isn't it? You've been quiet about this all this time, but you're taking over.
I'm sitting with a proper grown-up political journalist here, rather than you as a football observer. It's a horror story. I mean, people think that Keir Starmer's a clown. Wait till they start talking about Angela Rayner and people of that nature. Horrifying landscape. Horrifying.
Yeah. Did you foresee that it would come to this, John?
Did I see it come to this? I thought Starmer was always on weak ground. I didn't know precisely how it was going to happen. I don't precisely know how it's going to end, except that I cannot see Keir Starmer staying there, for very much longer. I do say that, but even that is with this caveat. You never completely know.
Yeah.
He's not like past Prime Ministers. We saw Tony Blair, we saw John Major in their days being incredibly unpopular and actually recovering. I can see no recovery for Keir Starmer. But then, I've been wrong before. I was wrong before that.
Does it give a runway for the other parties to start talking about bringing forward a general election? When you start changing leaderships, and ultimately the leadership was elected by the public, Keir Starmer was its leader. We know it was the smallest turnout, but notwithstanding it, we know tactical voting got Labour into position.
Yes.
Does it give landscape for people like Nigel to step forward and say we need a general election because we didn't elect these people in this format?
I absolutely guarantee you, I will take odds of 1,000 to 1 against. Of course, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the Tories are going to say exactly the same thing. And whoever is the Prime Minister is going to say, well, you can do one if we are not going to have a general election.
We've got a majority.
Yeah.
John, terrific. It's been a chaotic 24 hours in politics thus far, and it ain't over yet. You can join John Pinar with Times Radio Drive Monday to Thursday from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock for all the latest news and the sharpest political analysis, as the man himself has just demonstrated. Let's get back to some of those scenes we witnessed in the London Stadium at the weekend there. Some Arsenal fans who'd bought tickets from West Ham fans got in amongst it in the stadium. And then what do you know? Trossard scores and they react. And then one or two of them found themselves hurtling down flights of stairs And that was the end of the match as far as they were concerned. Taken to the exit points by West Ham fans themselves. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can see what kind of experience befell some of those Arsenal fans who managed to get themselves in amongst the home support. I mean, it's crazy, but have you ever taken the risk of sitting in the home end as an away fan? And what is the point of it? If you've done that, what kind of experience did you end up having? Richard is a big West Ham fan. Richard, what do you want to say? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gents. How are we all?
Good, thank you, mate. What's your thinking?
So I was there at the match with my dad and my son. So we've got 3 season tickets, and we walked up to our seat, and behind us there wasn't 2 regulars. There was 2 Arsenal fans sitting in there in all of their glory with Arsenal shirts on. Now, that was quite frankly absolutely ridiculous. So we was actually quite nice about it.
Yeah.
We went and got a steward and had them removed. But I did talk to them, but they wasn't sorry about this. They wasn't anything. Now, I got friends everywhere, and I travel to a lot of away games, but I sit in the home ends with my friends. So with an Everton friend, with a Forest friend, I sit with them. I have to sit in my hands and don't say anything, which is how it should be. If you're going to go to an opposition team in the home end, you can't sit there with your colours on. What do you expect? And quite frankly, what they deserve, they got. They're morons.
And what did they get?
Our one just got removed by the stewards. We was actually quite nice, but obviously people were slung down the stairs and all that. But what did I expect?
Yeah,
I'm with Simon on this one.
But Richard, you just admitted that you do it yourself, but you're discreet about it.
Yeah, I do, because I sit with my friends at Crystal Palace. I sit on my hands. Nothing happens to me because I don't wear my colours and I don't shout.
Right, but
if you want to wear your colours and shout, then all for you.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thanks for the call. Scott's a West Ham fan. Were you there, Scott? Did you witness it?
Yeah, I was there. I'm in block 239, and it happened in 240, so it was right next to where we was. When we got to the ground, when we first went in there, we see a group of around about 6 or 7 Arsenal fans. We identified them straight away. You could tell they was Arsenal fans. They was all having a few beers. They had the big 2-pinter jugs. They were knocking them back. The stewards did come and talk to them, and they were looking at their tickets. So we're not too sure what was going on. But anyway, later on, it was the same group that when, obviously, Arsenal scored, it all went off. And to be honest with you, it's going to. I mean, with Simon, 100% on this. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very, hostile situation, football. That's why when you go abroad, you're caged in, right? And at the end of the day, it is, that type of situation where, like the previous caller said, if you're going to start jumping around with your scarves and being silly about it, then you are going to get thrown down the stairs. As nasty as that is, it's going to happen. And at the end of the day,
celebrating a goal, Scott.
Well, yeah, of course. Come on, mate.
You can't bring yourself to sit there and watch them celebrate a goal. They've got to go. You've got to chuck them downstairs. Not you, but they had to be chucked down a flight of stairs, did they?
Mate, listen. That was an accident. How that happened?
It was an accident.
It wasn't broke.
All right, mind how you go there on those stairs. Oh,
but listen.
Yeah.
But listen, I've been to Old Trafford. I've been to Crystal Palace. I've been to loads of. I've sat in with the home fans. I've kept my head down, watched the game, and gone home and enjoyed it.
So you've just confessed that you do it too.
But that's not the point he's making. It's not the point. Stop playing bloody devil advocate, Jim. Everybody knows it. It's bloody stupid.
So hang on a second. It's all right if Scott does it and sits on his hands, as he says.
No, the less of two evils. The less of two evils.
If Simon says to me, I've got some tickets for Sellers, you want to come and see the Hammers, and we sat there, and I started jumping up and down, the first thing Simon would say to me is, "Sit down, you idiot."
Yeah.
And if he comes to me,
but Scott, if I was to ask you, should away fans sit amongst home fans, you'd say, "Sure, I do it."
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Well, then.
But there's a way of sitting
So you deserve all you get. If you show some little bit of emotion and they're on you, you would deserve to go spiralling down the staircase, wouldn't you?
And he'd say yes.
I'm going up to Newcastle, right? and I'm in the West Ham end, I would. And if I was going to go in with the Newcastle fans, because I've got Newcastle friends up there that could have got me tickets, I would not be jumping around in St James's Park if West Ham score.
I see, and those Arsenal fans were jumping about where they scored when Trossard scored.
They were jumping around. Stupidity.
Right.
Absolute stupidity.
Right.
And it was, and the stewards come to intervene. There was West Ham fans saying, get them out. When they grabbed them, one guy spun around, obviously drunk, and one guy lost his footing and went tumbling down the stairs. And he grabs hold of a West Ham fan and pulls the West Ham fan down the stairs. The second guy that goes down the stairs is a West Ham fan. He's not an Arsenal fan. He's a West Ham fan that went down the stairs because he grabbed hold of him to get his balance.
Goodness
it all
me.
happened, mate. It happened
What
right
a
next
scene.
to us.
Scott, listen, thanks for the call. What about Steve, who's an Arsenal fan? You weren't one of those that went hurtling down the stairs, Steve, were you?
No, it wasn't me.
No.
Fortunately.
What do you make of this?
No. Well, I mean, I think it's a right to do if you're sensible about it, like I was. I mean, if you go in there and you sit in the stands in an Arsenal shirt and you celebrate the Trossard goal, well, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, what else do you expect? You sat amongst the West Ham fans, especially in a game with high stakes.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy to do, sitting there. But yeah, like the previous caller said, sit on your hands, keep your mouth shut, and I was there to enjoy the game. And I'd rather be there in the wrong end and enjoy the game than not be there at all.
And you did that, did you?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah. I kept myself quiet. It wasn't easy to do, especially in the last 10 minutes, given the emotions that are going through you in that sort of game. But
yeah. How did you get a ticket? Who did you buy a ticket from?
Well, I don't want to say about that because I don't want to incriminate anybody. But yeah, we'll not go into that one. But it's not that difficult to do. It depends how much you want to get beaten up, really, doesn't it?
What's it got to do with you? You got a ticket from?
Well, it's just that this is what we're talking about.
So if a Celtic fan sat amongst the Rangers fans and was wearing a Celtic shirt and a Rangers fan, what would you say to him then? Would you say, just sit on your hands and not do anything and then not expect any consequences?
Wouldn't bother me one bit.
There's nothing wrong to some extent with a wave in an ideal world.
The fact of the matter,
in the world that you're trying to curate,
whether they're quiet or not quiet, it's not advisable to be in there.
Of course it's not. Right, but let's move that to one side. If you're insistent upon doing that, the next best thing is to acknowledge where you are and to perhaps behave accordingly, knowing the rules of engagement in a football stadium are tribalistic, confrontational, and the scale of the game. So to be arrogant enough, to be stupid enough to rock into the away end in an Arsenal shirt.
Right.
Okay.
Just go undercover is what you're saying.
Well,
and don't say anything.
Use your common sense.
Right.
I know common sense is a contradiction in terms because if it was common sense, everyone would be using it. But the fact of the matter is it's not logical to sit inside a game in a high-pressure football match, sitting in the away end in the colours of a shirt of a team that's potentially likely to relegate your team and celebrate. You're asking for trouble. Whether it's right or wrong, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. Maybe it's not logical at all. If you're sitting there unemotional throughout the game, mate, who are you supporting today? I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
Well, I think people are less likely to be inclined to be watching what you're doing and more inclined to watching the game. The only time they're going to watch you is when you make a 4-act production out of it because your team has just scored.
What do we need in a situation like this? We need a voice of reason, and that voice is coming in the form of Brad Friedel, who will take us off air. Not take us off air, take us to 1 o'clock today. Stay with us.
Afternoon, boys.
So, yeah, as we said earlier on to Andy Brasso, it looks like it was moving on apace, the Jose to Madrid train. So, where are we at?
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the direction of travel. In fact, it's been suggested to me this afternoon that it's virtually agreed now that Real Madrid are going to reunite with Jose Mourinho. Of course, he's in charge of Benfica at the moment. He's had a pretty successful period since returning to Portuguese football. But there is a break clause in his contract at the end of the season that means a club can pay Benfica €3 million. He'll be a free agent, and that will enable him to move on. As I say, I think it will be back to the Bernabeu. I'm fascinated to see how this works out. It's been described to me as Real Madrid's worst season in a number of years. We heard about that dressing room bust-up last week between two of their star players. Obviously, it was a dismal defeat in the Clásico to Barcelona, handing them the title. So there's a lot of work to be done. But it's not the first time that Florentino Perez has gone back to someone that he knows. And I think in Jose Mourinho, they see someone who can come in and assert that dressing room authority that maybe Xabi Alonso struggled with all the egos that they have on their books. And clearly Arbeloa is struggling as well.
Good stuff, Crookie. Thanks very much.
No worries.
There's Alex Crook there, and we'll keep an eye on that story. Andy Brassel was sceptical, I think it's fair to say, earlier on, our European football expert, that was going to work, but the chairman or the president does what the president wants. So we'll see what happens.
Chris O'Dowd! When you get the offer to be the voice of a sheep...
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser! Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad. He's
Kirsty and Phil!
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Well, that's right. Heavyweight season continues on DAZN. This Saturday, Dave Allen takes on former world title contender, and he's a giant of a man, Filip Hrgović. This is really David versus Goliath, live from Doncaster, and Dave fancies his chances. It's his biggest fight to date. And then next Saturday, the 23rd of May, is glory in Giza as Usyk faces Dutch kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven, with the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs. Join DAZN Ultimate now and you can watch Big Dave Allen, plus get 12 or more pay-per-views a year, including Usyk versus Rico at no extra cost. That is then, but right now we're focusing on this. 30 days to go until the start of the World Cup in the US of A. Not that long ago, this gentleman was in studio talking about that very topic, and it's getting ever closer. I'm delighted to say that former Spurs, Blackburn and USA goalkeeper Brad Friedel joins us live in the show. Brad, hi to you. Tell me first off where you're coming from. Where are you broadcasting from this lunchtime?
I'm in Bahamas right now, and hello, Jim. Hey, Simon. Nice to see you guys again. Yeah, I'm sitting in Bahamas before I go over to America for probably about 5.5 weeks.
What a life you've got, Brad. The Bahamas.
What about the life you two have? You come in the studio, you get to talk football. It's not bad either.
It's not bad. We enjoyed it when you were in this very studio, Brad, and we're delighted to have you on again. We hope to see you come New York in just a few weeks from now. Before we talk about the World Cup, first and foremost, your former club, Tottenham Hotspur, and their battle for survival. And it's a battle, Brad, is it not? Was that a missed opportunity last night against Leeds?
Well, big missed opportunity. The one thing I'll say, since De Zerbi came in, and he came in at a time that I think it's difficult to get top quality managers. I think Simon would agree to that. He came in and he has He has gotten some confidence back into the players. By no means was that a special performance. It wasn't a silky performance, but at least they got a draw out of it. And at the very end, you saw it was Tottenham that was banging on the door instead of just holding on for dear life. It's a shame they couldn't hold on from the 1-0, and now going away to Chelsea. The only good news with that is that West Ham have to go away to Newcastle. So they both have tough games, but this is going to go right down to the final game of the season, unfortunately for Tottenham fans.
Which way are you leaning? I mean, I would rather be West Ham playing Newcastle, given that Newcastle don't have a lot to play for. Eddie Howe's under pressure, but then Spurs going to Chelsea, irrespective of the cup final coming up, in a febrile environment with the Chelsea fans demanding the opportunity to send Spurs down.
Yeah, and there is a hatred there, Simon. You're right, and it's not been a wonderful ground for Tottenham to go to and get results against Chelsea. I don't know if I would prefer to be either of them, to be honest with you, because it's really difficult in this position to play free-flowing football. I would probably rather have the 2 points to the good.
Yeah.
Going into the final 2 days, but I would have much rather had the 3 points on the board last night after Leeds match if you could have had that. But I would say 50-50. I don't think I'd like to be in either of the shoes, and I think it's really difficult to play really nice, attractive football when you're in these positions.
Brad, I've got to ask you, that goal that was disallowed involving Raya, the Arsenal goalkeeper, on Sunday at West Ham, as a goalkeeper, would you suggest it was a foul? The right decision was actually arrived at? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll answer this a couple ways. One is, although I was a goalkeeper, I think goalkeepers are heavily protected, overprotected, to be honest with you. And I think, especially inside the 6-yard box, we're allowed to use our hands, and we can get an extra couple of yards above the heads of attackers. Where I think the foul comes in, you saw a shirt tug, and when a player goes across the actual arms and impedes a goalkeeper from jumping, it is a foul. On this particular play, and this is with Arsenal, they've been very effective at it, defending and attacking set pieces this season. There's probably about 6 to 10 fouls on every set piece involved with Arsenal set pieces this year, for and against. And I think these are really difficult situations for a referee to get right on every single occasion. On this occasion, there were probably 3 fouls against Raya, but there were probably 3 fouls prior to that event happening that wasn't even associated with Raya. So I'm not into protecting the goalkeepers. I think they get away with murder sometimes on that. This one particular, especially the arm across the chest and the pole on the back of his jersey, that impeded him from actually jumping for the ball.
Brad,
so I'd say it's a foul.
When you were in studio, mate, and we've only got a minute here at this end, but I want to put it to you. We were talking about what kind of World Cup are we going to see come the US, come June. 30 days to the start of it, Brad. I'll ask you the same question. What kind of tournament are we going to see?
As I thought, certain cities have really started to push back on ticket sales and hotels and things of that nature. One thing that America is very good at is putting on events. I think they will solve the issues. I think you'll start seeing ticket prices come down, hotel prices coming down a little bit, and I think they'll fill the stadiums. I do think that with the added teams, we're going to get some empty seats in the first round just because of who's playing who. But once the knockout game starts, I think we're going to have a fantastic finish to the event.
I can't remember who you predicted would be the outright winner when you were in here with us. Is it the same nation or have you changed? What was it?
No, I said England, and I still think they'll be very good. I just think that they're going to be one of the best ones. Usually one of the big sides really falters, and I kind of put that down to France, but not because they're a poor side. I think they're excellent. But sometimes these great teams implode off the field a little bit. But I mean, France could go on to win it as well, but I just have them down to have a little bit of a wobble because they've been so good for so long. England.
We'll make sure we let Keown know that next Monday, and also Emmanuel Petit next time he's back in the studio.
No problem, Simon. You can say whatever you want. My opinions are mine.
Quite right, Brad. I can't tell you how thrilled I am this lunchtime to be told by Brad Friedel that he thinks England are going to go on and win that World Cup. Brad, thank you for joining us. You've got 28 degrees in Bahamas today. I'm delighted to tell you it's going to be rain from Thursday till next Wednesday in that part of the world. Brad, I'm serious. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in New York, my friend.
Yes, we will. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Jim.
All the best to him. All the best to you. What's on this afternoon? Talk boxing.
Talk boxing.
Oh, yes.
Talk boxing.
And Don Charles is waiting in the studio very near you.
He is indeed.
Terrific, Simon. I'll look forward to that. Look forward to us returning at 10 tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening. It's 1 o'clock this Tuesday lunchtime.